Governor, what decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democratic allies?
This is a decision that I make and make with my family. And certainly, I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. Today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election. He did that, and that's today.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight for his monthly appearance. He's our friend Frank from Quite Frankly. Welcome back and Happy New Year.
Saddle up, partner.
That's it. Happy New Year, everybody. It's good to see you all.
QuiteFrankly.tv is where you find all things Quite Frankly, of course. Show is live 7 Eastern, weeknights. For discussion tonight, I don't know if they've started the fires in downtown Minneapolis to keep them warm tonight, Frank, but I would predict we're going to see a winter of love very shortly here, if the weather's not too cold for them to do the traditional burning. Have you seen any signs of the riots getting started? Are they kicked off yet?
Well, obviously, I just wrapped up my show, but beforehand, I was looking around. I was seeing confrontations with police. I saw and federal agents. I saw an attempt to occupy a federal courthouse, and
so they're doing it. Okay, the occupations have begun.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, whether it was, attempting to be a sit-in, but people trying to force their way into that kind of a thing. And this is what I wanted to come up with and just say. Number one is this. They're always just going to be waiting for an excuse to do something like this again. We're not talking about very thinking people. We're talking about very reactionary people and pre-programmed for it to self-destruct and to explode, not implode, to explode. And what I am curious now, Matt, going forward is whether or not, because this is the chance to do it, a new precedent is going to be set on what is going to be tolerated with how communities react to any kind of news. Because the facts of any kind of matter that pop up and we get confronted with really don't matter anymore. It doesn't matter what is shown in court. It doesn't matter what is shown on a body cam. That doesn't matter. We're dealing with factions of people that don't even see reality the same way. They don't see their perceived opponents as even fully human. So all I care about right now is whether or not there is going to be a new precedent set on what is going to be allowed to transpire in the streets in reaction to things like this when they inevitably pop off.
Yeah, well, we could see some crazy developments here. I know Tim Walz is talking about the National Guard coming in to keep the peace, but is he actually going to deploy the National Guard? Is he going to deploy the National Guard to stop the riot this time? They let them burn down the Minneapolis police precinct last time. And if he is passive again or permissive again, to your point, are we going to see some sort of National Guard nationalization like we've seen Trump try to do in a lot of cities? This is going to be really interesting to watch. But of course, we'll get into the details of this ICE shooting in Minneapolis momentarily. Meanwhile, I want to get your take on Venezuela before you're out of here, Frank. If we have time, we'll talk about the other Minnesota development. Tim Walz dropping out of the Minnesota governor's race. So that's an interesting development in politics, too. Later in the show, Skulldugger will join. We'll take calls, voicemails, emails, plus we'll catch up with your super chats as well. Thanks to those of you who support the show. Appreciate you. If you'd like to call the show live, the Discord server to do that is linked in the description. There are instructions and help available on the server for you. If you'd like to leave a voicemail in the next hour or so, the number is in the description as well. But let's get right into it, Frank, and let's just talk about the facts here before we break it down a little more. So, the details still emerging, but we do now have an ID on this woman. What we know so far typical stuff we've seen in a lot of these cities. Of course, big ICE presence in Minneapolis, partly related to the fraud going on in the Somali community, but they've been doing operations there independent of that too. So you got a lot of federal agents doing immigration ops in Minneapolis. And of course, you get these mobs of people who try to obstruct them. These are going beyond protests, okay? As we see, the origin of this conflict is this woman blocking traffic in the street with her car parked perpendicularly. It's not like they're just standing there with their signs and saying shame on you. They're doing obstructive activities. We've seen it in a bunch of cities. We saw it today in Minneapolis. So this woman's name is Renee Nicole Good. And we're getting some information. She was just identified within the last few hours. She's 37 years old. She's from Minneapolis. There are screenshots of social media accounts that look like they belong to her. The usual decorations you'd expect, the pronouns, the rainbow flag. It looks like she is indeed a lesbian and a lesbian mother. And before we're live, Frank, when we're talking, this is the biggest tragedy of all of it. The wife of this woman is there saying, "Oh man, my wife just got shot dead. We dropped our 6-year-old off at school and then came down here to obstruct ICE, and now one of this poor kid's moms is dead." So well done to the moms for handling themselves productively while their kid is at school.
Boy, that kid has a lot going against it. Hey, a son, you said?
Well, it says, I don't know if it says
that child has a lot going against him or her. Man.
It says the quote in the Daily Mail is from the wife of this woman. "That's my wife. I have a 6-year-old at school." So it doesn't specify boy or girl, but yeah, God bless that kid.
What a mess.
But I'm sure you've seen some of the video. There's a lot of different angles of video circulating. This woman used her car to block the roadway. Again, she's perpendicular to the roadway. Agents are around her car. I presume they're trying to move her or possibly arrest her. I'm not clear exactly what led up to this encounter, but it's clear they don't want her doing what she's doing. She backs up a little bit. She hits the gas. One agent is in front of her car. The other's kind of on the front side. And then the one in front of her car fires what sounds like 3 shots. Now, based on the video, it looks like she pretty much insta-died. We know from an image that if there's an image, is there one in this story of the car? You can see there's right in front of the driver's seat there's a bullet hole through that windshield. Presumably that hit her in a vital area. And when you see the video, her car just kind of keeps driving and hits a parts car in front of it.
It accelerates instantly. You can tell that she's checked out.
Yeah. So here is one angle of what happened. Now, YouTube doesn't like it's not graphic. YouTube doesn't like gunshots and that sort of stuff. So I have to blur it and put in the honks. But you get the idea.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood. Out car.
What the fuck?
So that's the crash there
Dude,
we're talking about.
What the fuck?
Dude, you did a murder for what?
Now, from that angle, it might be a little bit hard to see where these agents are in relation to the car. There are other angles, including this one. This one's slowed down. And you can see you've got one kind of on the driver's side as she's reversing. You've got the agent right in front of her, right in front of that front driver's side headlight. He draws as she accelerates, and that's where you get the shots. There are 3 that you can hear here.
That's what those honkings, the honks are?
Yeah, YouTube penalizes me for gunshots. So I put honks in.
What a horrible overlay.
You haven't learned that trick yet? I do honks.
I didn't know for just for gunshots or for anything else too.
Gunshots, yeah, I honk them, and that way they're YouTube safe. They like honks.
You know, I didn't know what the hell I was hearing at first. I thought it might have been another protester.
No, I just like it because it's a Clown World classic. You know, it fits well with Clown World stories, so I just go with the honk.
No, this is just morbid shit, man. It's just morbid how, because you know it's so casual. It's so casual, and she's just not thinking. Like you would think that right there, the most noble thing that she could do is to be taken from her car, clapped in handcuffs, sit in a holding cell for 24 hours and be able to flaunt that and to be able to put that out there. What would probably be done to her? Much less than what was done to people on January 6th. That's for sure. But instead, like I said, the fantasy suddenly met the reality. And what happened if she did get away from that stop without any, guns going off and her losing her life and all that stuff? Then what? She'd just be on the run, like they were going to forget about that. I mean, so it's
they're gonna. What's the movie where the two women drive off the cliff at the end? I don't know. Movies.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, were they going to do that? The two moms were just going to. It's like the two moms in Northern California. Do you remember that story of those lesbians who drove their entire SUV full of kids off the Northern California cliffs?
No, I don't.
Ah, well,
the nightmare. Wait, there was another person in the car?
No, I just I was thinking what her and her wife were going to do if they did escape in the way you were describing. But yeah, we were talking before live because the narrative here. Now, to me, that's a justified shoot. Okay, you have converted your car to a potential deadly weapon. You've driven it at an agent. This is a self-defense situation. Justified shoot. Would you have any dispute with that characterization? You think there's any debate there?
No. I think it's a justified shoot. But it doesn't make it any less of a bad political situation.
Of course,
it's just it's a mess. But I mean, you see what's going on there, and I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that any one of us sitting in her seat in that car doing that under those circumstances would get out of that alive.
Yeah, well, we were talking before live because I'm looking at the HuffPosts of the world and I'm seeing how this is framed. And instead of what I think is fairly obvious from the video, which is, well, horribly unfortunate for everyone involved, still a justified shoot, the narrative is she was so scared and just trying to leave. And you had an interesting explanation of how that could be potentially true. Now, that it doesn't mean that it's okay to drive the car at the agent, of course. But can you just go through that again? Because I think it's probably a correct diagnosis of what happened here.
Well, it's just a matter of where people live in a headspace every day of the week. You live in this virtual world where the person you are online, it takes you over. All of a sudden, it's like that. We were actually talking a little bit about it tonight, but the analogy didn't come up. Almost like Heath Ledger's Joker. He says, "I'm like a dog chasing cars. I don't know what I would do if I actually caught one." Well, she injected herself into a middle of a situation to be the watcher on the wall, to be the person who put to obstruct a little bit there, to do something noble. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, these are federal agents, whether they're local police or federal agents, they've got guns. This is law enforcement. This is real life. And then all of a sudden your courage just kind of gets drained and you want to get out of there. You are a woman, you feel a little bit more vulnerable. I wish I didn't do this, whatever. I have to get out. You're not even thinking at that point. I would never even put out there that she was trying to run over the cop. I would not even posit that as to she was trying to fight him. I think she was just trying to get the fuck out of there. But the problem is, you got one cop at your door. You've already crossed the line. You got another one that's essentially right in front of the wheel well, and your acceleration with a vehicle of any size is essentially assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
So and they don't know you. They got to make snap judgments too. The whole thing is fucked. But like I said, the real question is when you have a group of people who are just waiting for a reason because it's been a while since they can get all their friends together for a nice little block party. I'm more interested in whether or not this is going to be time to set an insurrection act precedent of no more bullshit. Stay inside your house. There's going to be no looting. There's going to be no fires. I'm curious.
Did you see what Mayor Jacob Fry had to say in defiance of the federal agents in Minneapolis? So of course, recently reelected Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. He had a press conference. Tim Walz did too, the governor. But of course, he's blaming the ICE agents for the incident. He's talking very tough. And he said, ICE should get the F out of his city.
But I do have a message for our community. for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart.
People are hurting themselves.
Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
Well, it's not.
And it's also on you to leave.
No.
Look at this man.
Big time. You know, Matt, you think about the life that this guy lives, this absolute fruitcake. Think about the life that this guy lives. From having to genuflect before the golden casket of George Floyd to having to scarf down Somalian diarrhea food a couple of weeks ago. This is really good. And now this, I mean, just the use of the word "get the fuck," just to use "fuck" in that, it was so forced. This guy's such a tool. I can't believe that he got reelected. I mean, like, why? What's the value?
Because didn't you see Omar Fateh, the alternative?
Okay.
You talk about dangerous Somali bean piles. You're going to get a lot more with Omar Fateh as mayor. You know, Jacob Fry should have threatened the ICE agents with that. If you don't get the fuck out of here, I'm going to make you eat the bean pile and pretend to like it. Maybe then they would listen to him.
You don't want to screw with me. I just ate some Somalian food.
You talk about whether we'll get some legal precedents or legal tests done with, say, invoking the Insurrection Act, deploying federal law enforcement at heights maybe not commonly seen before. I think this is going to set up a very interesting legal situation in Minnesota, too, in terms of the battle between the state and federal governments on prosecution, potentially. Now, I think as a matter of the facts, this officer is safe from prosecution, should be anywhere, because this is squarely a self-defense situation. He's not going to get prosecuted federally. You're not going to have Merrick Garland go after him because Merrick Garland's not around anymore. But Tim Walz was posting earlier today, I've seen the video. Don't believe this propaganda machine based on Homeland Security's description of the events. But we've all seen the video. He's saying the state is going to ensure a full, fair, and expeditious investigation to ensure accountability and justice. Now, he's not saying we will prosecute, but that is the implication. And I wonder if there's any possibility for this agent to get the Chauvin treatment somehow.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to see. I don't know. And of course, you know, Governor Tim Walz just being in the mix forever. How long now that the time is... The clock is ticking on his job out there, just in general. It's been an incredible year for the sleepiest, mostly forgotten state of the union. You know, I mean, if this was happening in North Dakota, it would be the only other place that I'd be like, what? You know, it's like Minnesota. I can't believe how much we're talking about Minnesota right now. I don't know. It's like, what do you have to say about Minnesota if you're not from there? You rarely
the Twins won the World Series in 1987 and 1991.
Right. Kirby Puckett.
Thank you. Yeah, that's probably what it's most known for.
Little Big League.
Paul Bunyan, Land O'Lakes. Oh, Little Big League. Yeah, I forgot about that one. That is
watch Little Big League.
The kid who becomes the manager of the Twins.
He becomes the owner. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that one. But yeah, it's. I think they're more forgettable. Like, come out to Montana, Wyoming, Idaho. I think we're more forgettable than those states. But I take your point. Like this, if you asked a foreign person to name a series of U.S. states, where does Minnesota land in that list? Is it in the top 15, 20? Probably not. So
no,
it is quickly, whatever reputation it had, which of course was Minnesota nice and lakes and all of that, is quickly becoming just fraud central. This is the place where foreigners rip off the American taxpayer. That's the reputation now, which is just embarrassing.
It would be embarrassing. It'd be sad if that is the way that it ended, though, because as I was saying before, and as it had popped up on Twitter and elsewhere over the last couple of weeks with everything that's been going on with Nick Shirley's work with the daycare centers and the healthcare fronts and all that stuff, This is the sums of money that we're talking about have been somewhere around $18 billion. Some people estimated somewhere between 10 and $18 billion of skim. And that is with, you just got to remember, a hyper local operation in otherwise seemingly inconsequential Minnesota. And when I say inconsequential, I'm just talking about, think about the headlines that are made every day in crazy New York City, I should say, because inconsequential upstate New York. I mean, that's just all it is, just the 5 boroughs, and then the rest is farmland. And the same thing with California, Texas, Florida. We're always talking about other places. And now all of a sudden, you're talking about $18 billion worth of incredible fraud in a hyper-local market.
Yeah.
You think about what the scale actually is when you start going out to other states. And if you think it's only going to be benefiting Democrats, absolutely not. This is benefiting a lot of people.
Well, that's what I want to know. When I moved to Minnesota to start my fraudulent daycare, do I have to do it in Minneapolis? Because I'm not interested in living there. Can I do it in the rural parts of the state, or is it only a Minneapolis?
If you're going to remain white, I would say go rural.
I'm going to change my name. I'm going to become Matt Nur Saeed, and I'm going to go all in when I do this. I just got to be clear on the rules. Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes left. Do you want to talk Walz, or I would like to hear your take on Venezuela? And I know you had a video clip for me that you maybe wanted to talk about. So maybe we get into that since we've talked plenty of Minnesota already.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting because I was going to play that. I was going to play that video that I sent you on my show, but I never got around to it. And it's something I came across last night. I don't even know the OP, if you want to say the channel or whatever, but it was a projection of what this Western Hemisphere reshaping of the Guard, this Dunroe Doctrine stuff that we're talking about. Last time you and I were on, we were talking about the drug boats. And I was completely disinterested in drug boats. I was like, what the hell are we doing here? If we're talking about drug boats that are making their way to and from Venezuela and all that stuff, if they're in international waters, why the hell are we going out hunting for them? Blow them up once they cross into our waters, absolutely annihilate them. But can we just concentrate on something a little bit more domestic? And then this popped up, and I mean, the only reason why I am really intrigued, cautiously optimistic and intrigued about it is because it's being messaged alongside of all this election fraud, this kind of retribution for election fraud stuff, and to be able to expose what's been going on internationally versus all of the local stateside problems that we know we have as well. So that's what I'm looking out for. But this was a little bit more of a 30,000 foot view of what is going, or what could possibly come of this big shakeup, and we can watch it together.
Yeah, here's the clip. Best case scenario for Venezuela in 1 minute, I would say.
After capturing Nicolas Maduro and transporting him to a U.S. federal prison to face charges, Trump announced the U.S. will run the country until a safe transition is possible. But what if the U.S. never leaves? The Petro reset breaks OPEC's global price monopoly. By seizing Venezuela's 300 billion barrels of oil, the world's largest reserves, the U.S. crashes gas prices to a historic $1 at the pump. This logistics miracle slashes shipping costs by 70%, cutting the price of groceries and goods by 30% overnight. Inflation vanishes as the energy tax is deleted, triggering a surge in domestic manufacturing. The currency collapse is solved by replacing the bolivar with the US dollar, stabilizing cost while zeroing savings, as a migration reverse brings 7.7 million refugees back to rebuild $400 billion in decaying infrastructure. The Southern Command expansion dismantles gangs and rebels, cutting crime by 90% as Venezuela becomes a de facto 51st state. This superpower pivot evicts Russia and China, freezing $60 billion in debt and granting the U.S. total military and economic hegemony over South America.
So how much do you actually believe it?
Listen, I'll be totally honest with you. If this is at all possible, I don't know. But if we actually get $1 gas and 30% cut in groceries, I'm pretty good with that. I'll tell you that. But as I must conclude and put this on the record, what history tells us about regime change will not. That tells us that this will not be in any way, shape, or form this smooth and this universally beneficial. That's what history tells us about regime change. I mean, that's very rosy.
I went through it on Sunday, so I won't repeat myself, but I'm worried about it for exactly those reasons. And I know we've had, well, you got Maduro's VP, who's supposedly this, I guess now viewed as a U.S. puppet or doing what Trump and company want her to do, but she's still Maduro's commie VP. I don't know how widespread the action is, but I've seen reports of armed militias walking around and messing with, I don't know if they're vying for power, if they're serious about a coup or whatever's going on. You got protests. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I know for sure Venezuela is going to collapse into chaos and this is all going to be terrible. It's just like you're saying, I've seen the regime change movie before and I'm worried about that. But I have a friend who is much more reflexively pro-Trump than and I like Trump. I'm not even trying to dump on him, but a good friend of mine who's like always in the Trump camp. So I like to hear his thoughts. And he was talking about Greenland, and I know Greenland is picking up steam now too. And I don't know that I'm all on board with the Greenland thing either, but he said, look, man, Denmark just said that if we take Greenland, then NATO is over. I'm like, okay, well, if NATO is over, now I'm in. Okay, yes. Now I'm interested. You're talking, we get Greenland and NATO is dissolved? Okay. So maybe like you're saying, there's more to this than I am not seeing with my short-sighted view.
And you know, the other thing there too is, and I said the same thing, Greenland, you have 50,000 people on this gigantic sheet of ice. If we can just take $50 billion, if we can charge Somalia $50 billion for everything that's been sent over there illegally over the last couple of years.
Do they have they ever had $50 billion?
They do ever since, Minnesota was in business.
Oh, right. Okay.
You should charge Somalia $50 billion, send it over to Greenland. You pay each of those 50,000 people there $1 million each just to call themselves Americans. I said that could be easy. All jokes aside, yes, I would. I thought that it was hilarious that the guy from Denmark said something about how they would use NATO to defend Greenland from the country that funds NATO, because it sounds just like how they needed NATO. They all wanted to go to war with Russia, the country that NATO is.
It's not that preposterous. We have been fought successfully with our own weapons before. I know that's true. Look at the Taliban's weaponry these days.
Could be.
They got our helicopters, they got our rifles, they got stuff we can't have as American citizens.
But you know that there's actually, I was reading actually in the New York Times today. I said, what the hell does this mean? But it's actually easier. Now I know that as far as public relations goes, if you're Donald Trump, you want there to be a smooth purchase or something that puts Greenland on the map. But as far as what is already on the books, I was reading that there is a Cold War agreement. Did you see this?
No.
There is many agreements and treaties made over the course of the Cold War, and one of those agreements allows the U.S. to establish significant military presence in Greenland, just whenever the hell they want. I mean, it actually grants
treaty with whom? Is it with Denmark or is it with NATO or what?
It might be Denmark. It might just be a NATO thing.
Oh,
but the U.S. I think through nothing other than the president's will can open up multiple military bases and all that. So we could essentially just plant our flag there in many ways. But you want to do it a little bit more James K. Polk-like and just actually purchase the thing.
Well, I like it that your lights are timed to go off when it is the bottom of the hour. It always reminds me that it is that time. But before you're out of here, of course, I want to remind everyone the place to find, quite frankly, Frank's material, his show weeknights at 7 Eastern is quitefrankly.tv. Frank, is there anything else you want to promote or say before I let you go for the night?
All I would say is I saw your video today, and I hope that all of your wonderful audience rallies around you, becomes a sponsor of yours monthly, and that, remember, whatever shows you enjoy on the internet, if they're using major platforms like YouTube or Rumble or wherever, like, comment, do not lurk. It'll hurt. So me personally, yes, you can find everything about the show on quitefrankly.tv, but I'm also on YouTube and Rumble and everywhere else. So thanks again, Matt, for the time, and wish you nothing but the best.
Of course. Always a pleasure, Frank, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Take care.
All right. There he goes. QuiteFrankly.tv for all things Quite Frankly. We appreciate his time and his contributions to the show each and every month. Before I get Skulldugger, Frank mentioned the video that I posted today. I actually want to spend a little bit of time on this morning's video. The initial response from so many of you signing up, like Frank was talking about, for monthly subscriptions, it's been incredible. And I want to thank you for that today. It looks like we're well on our way to the goal that I talked about, and I appreciate you guys keeping this operation running. It's my honor, and I really want to thank everybody for that. But I also want to amplify the message for people who maybe didn't see it. I do have some people who listen to the stream, or they listen to the audio feed of the podcast, but they don't necessarily see all my videos. And I want to make sure that the full extent of my reach is used for this message, because as a matter of business, as like Frank is talking about, he needs your support. I need your support. And so I want to make sure that everybody who listens across all the platforms hear what I'm talking about. And so rather than say it all again, I think it's most useful just to play the video. I know for a lot of you that'll be repetition, but hey, it's only 10 minutes and it's a full explanation of the business situation and my thoughts on it. So thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. I'm going to play this for 10 minutes and I'll see you on the other side. Skulldugger and I will get right back into the news. Well, it's resolution season, and my resolution, in addition to getting over the cold that's compromising my voice, is for my business, this video and podcast material, to survive, at least as a full-time production, which is the main point of this message. But rather than burying that in all the how and the why, I'll emphasize that point up front. If my production is going to continue, I need your help in supporting it. Over the last year, revenue around here has tightened up significantly. As we'll get to, I understand why. If I want to continue as a viable business, I'll have to turn that around. But I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to plead in alfalfa-like desperation.
How do you plead? Like this? Please, oh, please have mercy, please. Pretty good pleading.
I don't even have the hair left to spike anyway, but I'm here to provide value. So that's what I'm going to do. Today, I'm launching what I call the MC Club, a set of exclusive perks available to those who support my material monthly. I'm suggesting $5 a month to help pay the bills, but these perks are available to anybody supporting monthly, including just $1 a month. Through the MC Club page on my website, you will get all of my videos and podcasts ad-free. There's a members-only Discord server with direct access to talk to me by text whenever you like. You can send me stories. You can pitch me ideas. You can talk about whatever you like. The point is to be connected with my core supporters. You'll also get access to twice-monthly video calls with me and other supporters. I'm doing monthly loot boxes, so 5 club members a month will be selected for free merchandise from my shop, and I'm offering inclusion in a credit roll after my videos and podcasts, so supporters of my material are properly recognized for keeping the production in operation. Plus, I'm open to other ideas to provide value too. You can join the club, you can hop in the Discord server and tag me, hey Matt, I think this would be a really cool perk too, and I'll see what I can do to make it happen. You can join the MC Club right now by clicking the support link in the description. Once you do, you'll receive an email with the password to the MC Club page on my website, where all of your perks are hosted. And I want to be clear and transparent. It doesn't take a giant pile of money to run my business. To operate, the business needs about $120,000 annually. That's not just money for me. That's everything. That's paying the guys who help me out. That's software subscriptions. That's hardware upgrades. That's taxes. And yes, that's making sure that I can take care of my family, my primary job. If I can't do that, then I have to find something else that will. In other words, or other numbers, this business is totally stable if I have 2,000 people supporting it at $5 a month. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve. 2,000 people at $5 a month means this operation is totally secure from all the other variables: censorship, algorithmic manipulation, advertiser revolts, the 30% that YouTube takes on transactions over there, whatever. 2,000 people can keep the product safe from all of it. And by the way, we're not starting from zero. Many of you already support my material monthly, and I'm extremely grateful that you do. So that goal of 2,000 is already well on its way. For those of you who are already monthly supporters, you will automatically become MC Club members. Your next receipt will have that MC Club page password on it for you. But I want to talk a little more context. As I mentioned, I've seen money dry up over the last year, and I want to emphasize I understand why. Nobody can hold everyone's attention forever. Enthusiasm for what I make might not be what it once was, though I will always strive to make the best material that I possibly can. But the fact remains, from the biggest budget blockbuster to the basement duct tape production, no TV show, no movie series, no radio program has been on perpetual rise forever. An audience comes and goes. It has to be earned and maintained. And I'll keep trying to do that until I can't anymore. Beyond that, I am fully aware that I operate in a luxury industry. I've received emails from so many of you this year saying something like, "Hey, Matt, love what you make, but I have to cut costs. I lost my job," or bills are much higher, or whatever the reason may be. And I get that completely. When you have a family for whom to provide and the budget gets tight, money for some YouTuber is probably the first thing you chop. I would do the same. It is absolutely not a vital expense. I'm not even entitled to your click, so I'm certainly not entitled to your wallet either. Those things have to be earned, which is why I'm trying to provide value, to generate value. But for those of you who do listen regularly, I need you to understand, this operation is just you and me. There is no man behind the barnwood curtain. If you don't believe me, that thing is so flimsy, it might fall over at any moment and prove it to you. There is nothing back there behind me. There is no rich guy cutting me checks. There is no investor giving me a salary while he assumes all the risk. I had what I thought was security for about 9 months, a year and change ago, until the Biden Justice Department said, actually, that was all just a big Russian scam. Until they just dropped it and moved on. And to date, still nobody has explained what the truth actually is. So what I thought was my security was actually just damage in disguise. I got smeared for my honest work, and that was it. I just had to move on without even the courtesy of an explanation. And it's not just financially. It's in production, too. I don't have big money backing, and I don't have full-time support staff either. I have a few guys who help me out with some tasks on the side and sit in on the live show, for which I likewise am very appreciative and very grateful. But everything you see in the final product is researched by me. It's written by me. It's recorded by me. It's edited by me. I write the first word, and I click the publish button when it's done. So it's just you, and it's just me. And if I have any regret, it's that I ever sought security elsewhere, because that is the security. The only reason I've been able to do this for years is because you, the listener, have supported it to keep it alive. So if this production provides value to your life, please consider providing value to its life. If you'd be sad if it was gone, well, please help me keep it here. And if not, if you can't financially, or if I haven't earned it in your judgment, that's okay too. On the topic of regret, I actually have none. I have the opposite. I have appreciation and I have gratitude. Because even if it all ended tomorrow, that is not a failure. That is an amazing success. With your help, a hobby somehow became a viable career out of nothing for the better part of a decade. Most jobs don't last that long. That is a great job with a great run, if it even counts as a job at all, that I'm very fortunate to have done. And it wasn't just a livelihood either. It built everything I have. I met my wife through it. I have my children through it. I've made great friends through it. It was the path to everything I have that matters so much more than the dollars do. And I say, if it even counts as a job, not because it isn't work. It is. I hope the amount of time and effort put into the product is clear in the final presentation, despite the occasional breakdown in the duct tape. I say, if it even counts as a job, because I love to do it. So much so that even if this is the end of the business viability, I still want to do it as a hobby. Now, can I do it full time for free? I can't. I have a wife and 3 boys who need and deserve a provider, but can I still fire up the stream once in a while for old time's sake? Of course. And I would, if it comes to that. And if it does come to that, I am not too proud to do whatever it takes to be that provider. In fact, I am proud to be that provider no matter what it takes. It is my God-given purpose. If I have to scrub toilets to give my children the future they deserve, then that is what I'll do, without a complaint or a feeling of entitlement otherwise. Besides, I will be fine no matter what. If it doesn't work out, well, I knew it might not last forever, so of course I do have a backup plan. I will legally change my name to Matt Nur Saeed. I'll move my family back to Minnesota and we'll start a daycare business so I can retire early. And I wouldn't even be the first one to do it. The fraud tourism business is booming. A lot of opportunity there. I will be fine. My family will be fine. I will not accept any outcome otherwise. And if the dream is ending, well, I'm very thankful to have lived that dream as opposed to never enjoying it at all. Thankful to you for making it possible. Thankful for getting me this far and hopeful that if you're still interested in the product, well, maybe we can make this far that far and keep it going. So I would be honored to have you as an MC Club member to help make that happen. You can do that for as little as $1 a month or whatever you think the product is worth. The link is in the description. And at least for now, the product remains the same. New videos on Wednesday and Saturday mornings, live streams on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Until I can't anymore, because there are debt collectors for my kids' bills at the door. But I know they're not coming tomorrow, so at least we have a little while. Or maybe forever, if you decide you'd like to have me.
Stand back and stand by.
Hello, Skulldugger.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
I am all right. I got a couple other news items before we get into some calls. I want to talk Tim Walz, and I want to talk about the transgender attack at J.D. Vance's house. But before we get into it, anything on the ICE shooting or Venezuela that maybe you want to talk about? Give you the opportunity.
Man, that ICE shooting was just—it's hard to watch. It's a terrible thing. But I mean, you can't point to your vehicle at somebody, and especially somebody who's got a drawn gun, and expect there to be zero repercussions. Like,
yeah, what do you make of? I think Frank is probably right that because when I first saw this, like, oh, she was afraid, she was trying to leave. I'm like, what a preposterous, ridiculous characterization. Because of course, she was told to leave many times and did not, and that's why we have the confrontation that we have. But I think he's right that you get so brainwashed that you think that it's all fun and games until you're in the moment when it's not. And maybe fear, once that realization hit, the fear and the adrenaline rushed, and that was the reaction.
Yeah, I mean, you have a right to protest in this country, but your automobile is not a good way. A good method of protest.
Maybe don't obstruct the roadway. Start there if you're trying to keep it safe. But more Minnesota news. Tim Walz, somewhat surprisingly, the governor is out of the campaign season. He's still governor. He's not going to resign as of now, although I wouldn't be surprised if that changes. But he was running for a third term as governor. He decided to drop out of the race on Monday morning. And so before we get into it, as is tradition on this show, we must remember Tim Walz and his school shooter friends.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
I'm a knucklehead at times.
All his friends in the cafeteria.
So I've become friends with school shooters. I need to be more specific on that, but I am passionate about this. David Hogg is a good friend of mine.
But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease.
Well, are you retarded?
I'd never seen this before, the R word. in front of people. This is shameful.
All right. Even though we'll remember him, I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him. I want to do an I will remember you for Tim Walz when he goes away to jail, but that's maybe optimistic. Congrats to Nick Shirley, by the way, apparently using a weekend trip to Minneapolis and an iPhone to end the political career of a top Democrat, indeed their vice presidential nominee in the last presidential cycle. So feather in that cap for sure for that kid. Word is now you're going to get potentially Governor Amy Klobuchar. So look forward to that. She is
can't wait.
Strongly considering a run, according to reports. Same with Keith Ellison, who, of course, is the Attorney General, former member of Congress. But I don't understand that at all.
Do they have any politicians in the entire state that aren't just cringe factories?
Never forget Amy Klobuchar and her
one joke.
Yeah, you know the one joke. Should I repeat it or should I just move on? Anyway, he called me Snow Woman, so I said, "How would your hair fare in a blizzard?" Oh man, that I can't believe she didn't win in that 2020 cycle. But maybe we get to look forward.
I can't believe nobody got to her and told her that's not a funny story. Maybe it really is the funniest story that she has. I mean, she is a magnificently dull person.
Well, the thing is, even though she told the joke about 50 times, as was montaged back in the 2020 cycle, you could tell, at least I think, that she had a genuine enthusiasm for that joke. I mean, she was like tense with excitement when she told it because
she's so proud of it.
I think she thought it was good. But then speaking of feathers in caps, what is a greater feather in the Democrat cap than getting personally ripped by Donald Trump? That's what they all want. And so that was her achievement.
Yeah.
But Tim Walz, he's not done. As I mentioned, he's not going to resign. There he is with his friends once again. He's not going to resign. He is, or at least he's saying that. He's going to finish out his term that will end, January 2027, this time next year. So he has this press conference. Minnesota now has a new paid leave program. So I guess if you are a parent, the state of Minnesota will pay you to take time off from work. I don't know the program. Sounds like another great thing to defraud. But he did a press conference yesterday, ended up talking a lot about his own political fate instead of this paid leave program. But he had a hilarious quote. He was talking about the Republican opposition that's trying to hold him accountable for the fraud. And he said, well, you Republicans, you get ready. I'm going to use all 11 months left to ride Republicans hard.
Well, put up or shut up now and tell us what you're going to do to make this state better. Answer these tough questions. Quit hiding behind this and expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden, to make sure that you're doing your job.
That's a big game, man.
So cringe. What institutional power do the Republicans have in that state? It has been
pretty close.
The bluest state of all time.
They had well, you're coming from California, so it's actually not that blue.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least we voted for Reagan.
I guess, yeah, and he was your governor.
They were the one state that did not vote for Reagan in his reelection.
That's true, because they had Humphrey, who was Minnesotan. Wasn't he the guy who ran against him? Yeah, it was like a state loyalty thing, I think. But Republicans almost took the state house, I believe, or the legislature was very closely contested, and has been recently.
It's still a blue state. I mean, it is thick blue. I don't know. I don't know. What does he mean? What is he expecting to get out of the Republicans? They don't have any real power.
I don't know what power. They don't have the majority in the House or Senate, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. So I don't know what they're going to do other than shake fists, to your point, and try to win power in the next election.
Yeah.
But Tim Walz was so full of deflections and excuses. He took 6 questions. A lot of them were about his decision to resign instead, or his decision to drop out of the race instead of this paid leave program. And it was just deflections and fingers pointed at others. But man, do you remember when Chris Christie exposed Marco Rubio during the 2016 campaign and ended Marco Rubio's run because saying he's a robot programmed to say certain lines. Look, I got him. He can't get out of the robot cycle. He's malfunctioning. And it was a terrible moment politically for Rubio. Yeah. Tim Walz is kind of like that where, hey, the question here is, did you decide to leave the race yourself, or were you pressured to do it? And since it was January 6th yesterday, he defaults to January 6th.
Governor, what decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democratic allies?
This is a decision that I make and make with my family. And certainly, I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras. I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election to try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said he really didn't, and courts convicted 400 of them, and he pardoned them. No, he did that. He did that, and that's today. And it's clear that we also saw today he implemented 5 states are being punished with a freezing of federal funds illegally that were appropriated by Congress, our tax dollars.
I don't think so, Tim.
What does that have to do with the question? Even if it's true, what does that have to do with the question?
Nothing. That was a meandering pile of. There wasn't even a. What was the argument that he's even making? What was
I just want everyone to know
any of that?
It's January 6th. You see, they did a
January
vigil.
6th.
They did a vigil on the steps at Congress, and I don't.
Are we only going to do those vigils in years that Trump is in office?
Yeah, because I don't remember that happening.
I don't remember any of these vigils.
Maybe it did. I remember the one in town that I went to and all those old people there, but I haven't seen one in Congress. But maybe I missed it. Anyway, Tim Walz, he's not rejecting accountability, okay? He says he accepts accountability. The buck stops with him, and you know what his accountability is? His accountability is he's not running again.
State, there's full accountability for everybody because I buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this. And because of that accountability, I'm not running for office again. But I have a year to continue to improve on a record that I think will stand up against anybody's, a record that has made Minnesota better.
Okay. So interesting accountability there. If I got caught stealing candy bars at the grocery store, or maybe something more expensive. Let's say I got caught stealing electronics at Best Buy, and they catch me at the door. Security does. They say, "Hey, why are you stealing from us?" I said, "Well, okay, you got me. The stealing buck stops with me." But I tell you what, my accountability is I'm leaving.
I'm leaving.
No, the accountability is you're under arrest for shoplifting. There's justice that has to be pursued. And that's the case with Tim Walz. Either he is in on the fraud, which I can certainly believe, or he was tipped off to the fraud a long time ago and didn't care and at least passively enabled it. And we know that's true because there are a lot of whistleblowers about it. So the accountability of going away after you have possibly committed crimes or at least been involved in deep corruption. Interesting. I don't know that that's going to be satisfying for people who demand accountability to the full extent.
Well, this is how a retard takes accountability.
This is shameful.
You said
he might actually be too retarded to pull off fraud. So the fraud has been so successful that I don't know he was actually involved.
You know, we were just going through like the most optimistic Venezuela situation with Frank. If we're going full optimism tonight, Tim Walz not only arrested, not only brought to trial, but pleads retard at trial, incompetent to stand trial due to mental challenge. That would really complete the story. I have that to look forward to. Tim Walz also blamed the federal prosecutor. So a lot of the fraud scheme has been uncovered by the U.S. attorney in Minneapolis. His name is Joe Thompson. And Tim Walz actually blamed that guy, saying that he is saying things publicly that are defamatory.
You saw a U.S. attorney stand up, which was been released would have been let go by any other administration, speculating about things with no factual information. That's defamation. That's coming from the U.S. attorney. We are under assault like no other time in our state's history because of a petty, vile administration that doesn't care about the well-being of Minnesotans.
So he says that's defamatory. What's defamatory? I get it's the fact that Thompson, the prosecutor, said that the state has handed out over $9 billion to providers in fraudulent payments, which I think is false because that is way too low of a number.
Bingo.
The real number is way higher than that.
Yeah, it does say over 9 billion. So it's somewhere between the 9 billion that we know of and the 18 billion that they received.
Okay, so yeah.
I mean, when half of the federal funds, at least half of the federal funds that you have received from the federal government because you told them we have programs that we can use these funds for, like you have already vouched for the legitimacy of these programs, and when you find out that over half of them are fraudulent,
they shut down that housing
criminal
one.
Negligence.
The housing program they had under Medicaid was found to be almost entirely fraud, so they just stopped doing it. This would be a really interesting legal case. Not that I think it's going to go anywhere, but has there ever been a case? What Walz is alleging is a government agent, the federal prosecutor in Minneapolis, defaming the state government of Minnesota, I think. At least that's the way I read that. Have we ever had a case of a government agent defaming another government agent brought to trial or brought to the courts? And what would even be this? Like, does that have standing? When he says that's defamation for him to speculate without knowing whether it's true or not. No, it's not actually, because if you're talking about government agents, they are public figures. As long as the standard for defaming a public figure is very, very high. I can say, I don't know for sure, but I bet Tim Walz touches kids. Like, it would be rude of me to say that. But I'm speculating without any basis for evidence at all. Could he bring me to court for saying that? No, because I qualified. Unless he can say that I made a definitive statement knowing it was false, would have to be the standard. But that's not what the prosecutor is doing. You can make speculative statements about government agents all you want, as long as you're not making them definitively and as long as you don't have information otherwise. That's the actual malice standard. You have to know it's false and put it out there anyway. And I don't think if you think the prosecutor's lying, he knows it's false and he's putting it out there anyway. How is he successfully bringing so many charges and getting convictions if he's just a big liar?
Yeah. And once again, the common refrain is truth is an absolute defense to defamation. So no lies detected here. The money is missing.
Well, if you can even account for it anymore, if it's even auditable. But sorry to put this in front of your face.
That's disgusting.
We're right up at the top of the hour. I know it might
it's
be
really
a little
not that hard of a swap between this picture and Tim Walz. So it's.
Well, yeah, I guess which one is worse? I don't know.
They're both cringe.
Is this Skulldugger if he shaved his beard? I don't know. I've got a haircut. I don't know. keep the beard, man. We don't want you to be hitting hammers at JD Vance's house. We don't want you to go down this path. Anyway, we will get to the calls momentarily. Appreciate your patience, callers, and we'll be right with you. But I do want to talk about this attack at JD Vance's house, because this week there was another one. And when I say another one, I'm referring to the many cases of transgender violence or crimes or attacks. I'm talking about the guy who tried to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh or plotted to, and then was caught and went to prison and says, I'm transgender. You got the Zizian transgender cult being prosecuted. There was the Nashville school shooter. There was the Minneapolis church school shooter. All of Tim Walz's friends. We're constantly told there's no statistical trend in transgender violence, but the anecdotes sure keep coming, don't they? At some point, anecdotes become data, but I don't know when critical mass is reached. But this happened at JD Vance's house in Cincinnati. A 26-year-old man was arrested for vandalism. His name is William DeFore, but he insisted that police call him Julia when he was arrested. He used a hammer to smash several windows at the home. J.D. Vance and his family were not at the home at the time. DeFore has several criminal charges from his recent past. In 2023, he was charged with trespass at a psychiatric emergency center after he refused to leave. So he's apparently too crazy for the emergency psych center. They said, get the hell out of here, dude. We can't handle you. And he wouldn't leave. So he got a trespass for that. And in 2024, he was charged with 2 counts of vandalism for breaking windows at a business. The court ordered him to have mental health treatment instead of giving him a criminal conviction in that case. And if it matters, his father, who's also named William, I don't know if he's also named Julia too, but his father, William, is a Harvard graduate doctor with a history of donating to Democrats, thousands of dollars to the Kamala Harris campaign and Joe Biden before her. Now, DeFore made his first court appearance Tuesday. He has both state and federal charges. The state stuff is vandalism and trespass. The federal charges are for damaging government property. Apparently, he hit some kind of federal agent's car as well. And then when agents tried to stop him from hammering the home, they said, hey, you.
Stop the hammering!
He didn't stop, and he tried to run away. So he got hit with resisting federal officers in addition to damaging that government property. DeFore's mom spoke at his court hearing this week and said, mental illness is a terrible thing. It is a struggle which can take over the life of a beautiful person and the people who love and support them. Unfortunately for our child, it has taken over his life in a way that we could have never imagined. Now, I'm not even saying mental illness has nothing to do with this, but they want me to believe that the mental illness has nothing to do with the transgenderism. You have the lawyer, and nothing to do with politics either. You have the lawyer for this William guy, saying in court, in his defense this week, this is nothing political going on at all. This is purely a mental health issue.
I doubt it.
No politics, no political motivation. And actually, DeFore is just someone who writes peaceful poetry. He's mentally ill and he writes peaceful poetry. He had a breakdown. And that's why he just, I guess, happened to go to J.D. Vance's house and start smashing windows with hammers. He's still in custody pending a hearing in federal court in Cincinnati on Friday. But what do you make of William or Julia here? Do you buy the no political motive explanation from the defense lawyer?
No, none at all. It's just a coincidence that it just happened to be the vice president.
They didn't explain. Like, was the home just targeted randomly? Yeah, I don't know. He has hit stuff with hammers before, so I guess it's in his character. He writes peaceful poetry and then goes unpeacefully hammering other people's property. It's a very bizarre set of hobbies for William. But that's mental illness, man, and that's the frustrating thing about mental illness here. Like, yeah, based on his criminal behavior and his apparent views about gender, I'm sure he probably is mentally ill. However, what is the answer for someone who, even because of mental illness, repeatedly commits crimes against other people? Oh, how about you go talk to a therapist and maybe they'll tell you that's bad and you can go write some more peaceful poetry until you start attacking property with hammers again? Or do you have to institutionalize people if they're a threat to others? There's nothing compassionate about treating this. If you believe it's a mental health issue, there's nothing compassionate about continuously releasing this guy to keep attacking people with hammers. That's not a solution.
Yeah, mostly peaceful hammers.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah,
they don't have the claw on the back. What makes them peaceful? They're not assault hammers. Anyway, let's get into some calls and see what people have to say tonight. First up is Turles, and I got to unmute myself before I forget. Turles, are you there?
I am indeed. How are you gentlemen today?
We are well. What's on your mind?
Doing well.
Oh, well, nothing much. I am back from several months hiatus, I guess.
Has it been that long since you've called in?
It has.
Wow.
Hey, that reminds me, actually. You may remember, I don't know if you remember specifically, but my sister, who goes by Lady Golden Dragon.
Oh, she's your sister. I didn't know that. But yeah,
yep.
I have met her before or spoken with her in some video calls. Yeah.
That's right. And she met her now husband through the old socials page.
Right.
And
My honor. Glad to hear it.
yeah, and yeah, they got married, and she is due literally any day now with her first baby.
Nice.
So
We
it's
love
great.
you.
Yeah,
You're very special.
Very glad to hear it. Please extend my congratulations.
I will. So yeah, that's definitely on my, and that's why I've been kind of taking care of her for helping anyway. Yeah, it's been a long time since I called in. Oh, anyway, yeah, I thought I'd come back with another book recommendation. If you haven't heard of it, the book by historian Tom Holland called Dominion.
Okay.
Are you guys familiar?
I haven't heard of it. Have you, Skulldugger?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm for. Yeah. So yeah, this is actually a contemporary book. But yeah, Tom Holland is a very good historian. Dominion is a very interesting read about how dramatically different the pre-Christian world was to what we have today. And these days you have a lot of people who kind of go around taking Christian society for granted, as though it's almost unthinkable for it to be any other way. And they have no appreciation for the fact that it is a Christian society. And this whole business with the Somalians gives you kind of a glimpse into what a non-Christian society is really like, right? It's all fraud, it's graft, it's take advantage of whoever you can, especially those who aren't in the tribe, and so on. Fairness and justice, all of that sort of thing. That's a very foreign concept for a lot of history. So,
excuse me, I got the cough hitting me, but yeah, those concepts were very formative for me in bringing me to my own Christianity and my own faith. And ironically, or maybe not, because I think Dawkins was saying a lot of what I felt like, but what Dawkins said to that effect of, I want to live in a Christian culture, it made me feel like the same free rider where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can see if you had me pick who my neighbors are in my neighborhood, am I going to pick moral relativists or am I going to pick people of Christian faith? I know how I'm going to fill out that, that draft when I draft my neighbors. I know who I'm picking. And yet I'm going to sit here and act like I have doubt about applying those same standards to my life. I just felt like a giant hypocrite and free rider for that. And so that was really motivating for me to make that leap of faith and embrace the title.
Yeah, so this would definitely then, I think, be a great read for you if you have time. It's nonfiction, of course. It's historical and all that. So,
well, thank you for the recommendation. And all the best to your sister, Lady Golden Dragon. And congratulations to your family. I'm really glad to hear it. Thanks for letting me know.
Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Have a great night. You have any thoughts on the Christian, the problem of being a free rider in a Christian society, or any of the stuff that we're talking about?
I don't even necessarily know that it's a problem, because I mean, even if you don't believe in the more religious aspects of especially the Christian doctrine, so like if the Christ story is a little bit much for you, and you're not necessarily sure that Jesus was the Son of God, that he died, that he rose again, but you understand that the principles that Christianity teaches are beneficial for the person, the family, and society. Like it's just a good way to live. I mean, even that has value in and of itself. Just being a human that lives under those principles is still going to be more beneficial than living outside the principles.
I felt silly, not that I'm dismissing anybody who buys into what you're saying, but I felt silly thinking about the practical argument too. Like, well, I don't know if this is real or if this is true, but hey, it works. Look at the results for families of Christian faith versus those who aren't. And I think critically about that, it's like, well, why does it work though? Usually things work because they're true. And I challenge my brain to think of things that are false but practical. I guess they kind of exist. Like there are immoralities you can commit that work for your momentary convenience. Like it might be beneficial for me to steal a candy bar if I'm hungry because I fill my stomach in that moment. But long term, it's not really true that it's moral, and that's going to catch up to me. I really struggle to think of things that in practical terms, like it's a false premise, but it works. And I don't mean works like in a gimmicky way in a moment. I mean works long term in a fundamentally true way, even though I realize what I just said is a contradiction. It's a paradox. Can you think of false things that are fundamentally true? No, you can't. But that's the sort of thinking that really got me to move on from that kind of utilitarian or practical argument. Like, why does it work? If you grant that it works, why does it work? Like, if there's a good mechanic who can fix the car, is it possible he knows a few things about how the car works, or is he just very lucky with his wrench turning? He happens to do it the right way. Anyway. All right. Egrin is up next. Egrin, are you there?
Hi there.
What's on your mind, sir?
Hello.
So, have you been reading your Bible lately?
Yes, insofar as the Bible study, we have the Bible study, and so I keep up with, you're a part of that, so we keep up with Romans there, and then the scripture that's presented in my weekly church sermon. But as far as like my own independent reading, little short on the time with the kids these days, but yeah, I mean, it's something that I could probably spend a little bit of time doing.
Well, I think that would be probably more helpful for you. A second, you need to stop using the whole tenant media as plain victimhood on that. Everyone has basically moved on from that, and
Well, how did I play victim?
everyone has moved on from it. If anyone really thinks you're part of Russia, everyone's an idiot from that.
Well, I'm not going to grant the premise that I played victim. I'm giving context for why I think the support is necessary and earned.
But you're still using it. Everyone has basically moved on from it. If anyone genuinely thinks you have Russian money at all, they're a fool.
That wasn't the point, though. That was not the point of why I brought it up.
I know, but everyone has moved on it. Lauren Chen, she's basically back on X. No one is talking about tenant media. Like, I understand that, like, that thing occurred, but really things happened later on, and
You think the point of that video was tenant media?
I understand that you're hurting on money, and I understand that everyone is, but you need to stop using tenant media as that crutch because everyone has moved on. I know that's harsh, but everyone.
It's such a shame to see.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion.
Fall on such hard times.
All right, man.
But there's a moral here.
I'm just going to not say anything that I might regret. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. That seemed a little harsh.
Zero Snark, are you there?
I am. Hi, good evening.
What's on your mind?
Oh, well, I've sensed a common theme, as I occasionally do in streams like this, where the left is only seeming to accelerate their willingness to warp or utterly abandon the truth. It's like that one quote that's going increasingly viral, no signs of stopping, where discourse with the left is seemingly just a bunch of lefties pretending not to understand something, and so trying to talk to them is impossible. For instance, we see the left has been utterly willing to make up lies out of nowhere and then make you a bad guy for not believing it, like the Russia hoax on the broader political stage, or the first few days of Jussie Smollett. Like, that was utterly bonkers from the start, and anyone with a brainstem could tell that was wrong. But then you were evil for denying it, and then 3 days later, everyone acknowledged, okay, he's lying. But then you've got the level of Tim Walz's fraud, or the Minnesota fraud with all the Somalis running the fraudulent businesses, and they're trying to put every smokescreen in the book up there. Thankfully, most of them are failing, to the point where when something actually very high stakes and on the line immediately, such as today's shooting involving the vehicle and the ICE agents, if the left that runs so much of our generally publicly supported information apparatus are willing to make up lies or ignore the truth, what are the stakes with the Smollett thing? Some idiot made that up and they decided to back it up. No, but this is even more serious. Violence has occurred, and they're of course going to be as maliciously untruthful as possible to try to make political capital out of it. So basically, with a political left this devoid of morality, essentially Trump has to defang them as much as he physically can and disregard how much they try to judge him for it, because these people can't be trusted with power and they're going to seize it if they can. So Trump just has to go all out to stop their ability to screw things up once he's out of office.
You nailed it on timing. Wow, that was almost rehearsed. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
What do you want to see Trump do as far as his response to, again, I don't know what's going on in Minneapolis right now, but let's say that things get rowdy in the way they got in 2020. What would you want him to do?
Well, in terms of these riots specifically, have National Guard close by, that if riots escalate to the point of looking like they might get to Kenosha levels, then just, have the National Guard shut that down immediately.
And what happens, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm not asking rhetorically, but let's say like Tim Walz is talking about deploying the National Guard to peacekeep, I assume, to stop the rioting, but he also has authority over that National Guard force. What would happen? We talk about Trump deploying the National Guard against governor's wishes. We've seen this in the courts in Portland and LA and all of this. What would happen if Walz deployed the Minnesota National Guard and basically allowed them to look the other way or kind of facilitate the rioting, let's say? Like they're there in a bizarre way that's not stopping the rioting. I'm not even sure what that looks like. But I guess what I'm saying is, what if Walz deployed the National Guard for one purpose and Trump deployed, I guess, a different National Guard force, maybe from a different state? Is it possible that we would have dueling National Guard forces? I don't know. Is that a thing that can happen?
I don't think there's any record of that happening in the past, but if Walz is going to be that craven, which his moral character absolutely fits doing something like that, I just haven't seen him have the guts or the strength to actually try something with real muscle behind it. But he's definitely that craven. Trump just better be willing and ready to bring a bigger National Guard.
All right. Well, yeah, it's I assume Trump was probably a little hesitant in 2020 with re-election coming up and all of that. I would be surprised. He already has been much more forceful with trying to deploy the National Guard than he was back then. So if there's chaos brewing, I bet we're going to get the sort of response that you're talking about. I wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Well, he also doesn't have COVID to contend with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the call. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Have a good night. Okay, that will do it on our live callers tonight. Appreciate our live callers. We're going to catch up with some voicemails. It's been a couple weeks since we've taken voicemails, too. Before I do, I want to remind everybody that get William out of here. I need my contact page. If you want to leave a voicemail for the show, or you'd like to leave an email for the show, which we'll get into in a moment, you can do that through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. The box for sending emails is there. The phone number to leave voicemails is there as well. So first, let's get into, the first call is from Unknown, and I actually got this call right before Christmas. So it's been sitting in here for a couple weeks now. Let's see what Unknown has to say.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Previously, you have said that you don't like people telling you how to run your show. Does recommending guests encourage into that? If it does not, how would you like fans and callers of the show to recommend guests? Just two of the people I think you would enjoy having conversations with are comedian Danny Polishchuk, whose work you've featured before, and comedian Rob Bernstein. He does a lot of shows, a lot of interviews that I think you might enjoy talking with. He's really big on COVID misinformation. Have a good one. Bye.
No, if you have any recommendation for me at all,
Get out of here!
I don't tolerate that. Thank you for the call. And if you have recommendations for people to talk to, you can send me, it's best to send me an email because then I can actually look at their stuff and I'll remember. So if you have the names that you dropped, just send me an email and give me a link to some of their material or how I could contact them. And I'm happy to take a look. As far as the commentary about not liking being told how to run my show, of course, that's like a half joke. I don't mind, referrals, recommendations, suggestions, all that stuff. What I don't like is when people cross the line into talking to me like they are my boss and giving me directions. That I don't like, as though I have an obligation to do what they say. Maybe we've had a little bit of that tonight. I don't know. I don't like that. So recommendations and suggestions are qualitatively different from directions. And so that's the difference in terms of, how I interpret those things. But,
yeah.
Do you know either of those names? In the transcript here, it says Danny Paul, and I don't know what the other one is. I don't think it came through in the transcription. Do you know those names at all? No? Do you know the name
no.
Danny Paul?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for the call, Mr. Unknown. Next up, we have Concerned Non-Citizen.
Concerned non-citizen here. You said on Sunday night that if Trump said that taking over Venezuela for the short term is going to be majority good or, disproportionate benefit to Venezuela and not the U.S., and that's not America first. I get the sentiment, but I think, just as a thought experiment, if you had the option to push a button and America gets a small benefit and any other country, ally, ideally, gets a bigger benefit, or you don't push the button and neither country gets a benefit, is it America first to push the button or not? I think it is.
Well, thanks for the call. Skulldugger, I don't know if you heard what we were talking about on Sunday with Venezuela and some of Trump's commentary, but to be specific about what Trump had said that I was responding to, he said, first he was asked, how is this America first? And he described our need for that being the ousting of Maduro and the running of Venezuela as he was presenting it. How is that America first? And he said that we need good neighbors and we need energy. And my problem, even if I take those premises to be true, which I think they're defensible, my problem is he later said that the primary, what happened? I lost Skulldugger. Let me see if I can get him back here. Maybe he had a power outage or something. While I wait for Skulldugger, I'll get back into my response. My problem with what Trump had said was that the primary beneficiary of his move in Venezuela was the Venezuelan people. So I'll take your point that there could be a policy or a move that is beneficial both to a foreign country and us. So we get that sort of win-win, the button that you're talking about. Win for us, win for another country. Yeah, of course I would push that button, and I don't think it's necessarily not America first. Oh, he's back. Let's see if we can. Maybe he clicked the wrong button. I don't know what happened here. You back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
I thought it was a power outage or something.
No, my computer just shut off for a second.
Well, join the club. I'm surprised mine hasn't done that yet, but it's the hamster wheels and the duct tape are still holding together. Anyway, strange, but glad it's resolved. Anyway, to bring it back to what I was talking about. My problem with what Trump said, and you and I have had many discussions about the word primary recently in the sign tapping context. My problem with what Trump said is he said the primary beneficiary of the move in Venezuela would be the Venezuelans. And maybe that's good. I'm not saying you have to argue that's bad. I'm saying that is in conflict with the premise that it's America first. Because if the primary beneficiary of a policy is people from another country, to me, by definition, that means it is not America first. Now, to the caller's point, would you push a button that gives benefit to you and another country, assuming that country was somewhat aligned with you? Yeah, I would. I just don't necessarily grant the premise, and I hope to be wrong, by the way. You might be right, caller, in your hypothetical. I don't grant the premise that this is a simple button that's benefit for Venezuela and benefit for us. I worry that long term there will be significant costs financially for us. Maybe not. Maybe the oil is going to cancel all that, and I'm wrong. I certainly worry there will be military costs, not just in terms of the financial cost of our presence, but potentially the loss of life or injury or whatever may result from a military deployment. So yes, to answer your question, I would push the button. I don't know that I grant the premise that the easy button applies in Venezuela. But what do you think about the primary beneficiaries of other countries being an America First policy?
Well, the interesting thing about the Venezuela issue is I think this is as much about who this hurts as who this helps.
Okay.
Because this definitely did China no favors. This also did Russia no favors. So they lost a huge operational ally, probably their biggest operational ally in the Western Hemisphere. And there's a lot of questions still up in the air as to what the financial entanglements even were between Venezuela and China. It's not like either one of those countries are very honest about their financial pictures. So, but there appears to be some amount of outstanding money that Venezuela still owes to China. It'll be interesting to see how that gets resolved. If the U.S. is running Venezuela, whatever that means, are we now responsible for making sure that the outstanding loans get paid back, or are we just going to allow Venezuela to default?
Yeah, do we acquire their debt?
Yeah, exactly.
Just pile it onto our own Chinese debt?
So there's a lot of complicated. This is a lot more complicated than an Afghanistan or an Iraq.
Really? You think it's more complicated? Wow.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. There's definitely more, because Venezuela was more of a global operator than either of those countries. Those countries were relative shut-ins, and we greatly struggled in establishing functional governments in either of those countries. And so it's going to be a question of how involved are we going to be? Are we going to allow the Venezuelan people to just set up a similar system to the one that they had under Maduro? And if that's the case, then what was the point of all this? But
what's your level of optimism? And I'm not asking whether the move was justified or legal or not, but if you had to guess about what from 0 to 10, rate the benefit to the United States over the next 20 years, where would that land in terms of your optimism? 10 is most optimistic, 0 is no optimism, all pessimism.
I'm not entirely pessimistic about this. I mean, the Monroe Doctrine it's got a good core principle to it. There is no reason why we should allow even European interests
and
operating.
For my own clarification, and for everyone else as well, Monroe Doctrine just meaning Europe and the other hemisphere stay the hell out of our business, and we're going to dominate the West. That's the idea.
Yes, the Western Hemisphere is the United States. We control the interest of the entire Western Hemisphere. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that, and they say that it's taking manifest destiny a little too far. But I mean, whatever. I'm just be lucky, world, that we stop at the Western Hemisphere and we don't apply the Monroe Doctrine to the entire planet, because we very well could.
I don't know. We've kind of Monroe Doctrined many other parts of the planet in recent decades, but yeah, I'll take your point. All right. Thank you for the.
So I'm not entirely without optimism, but it's also, I'm not ranking the super. I don't think that this was an out and out win, but in that it negatively impacts our two greatest adversaries, there is some benefit there. So
That sounds like a mighty fine fence-sitting 5, sir.
Yep. I'm right around. I'm getting comfortable on that fence.
All right. Got one more here from, let's see, who is this? I think, this is the Siege Tank, I think is how you say the name.
Happy Wednesday, Mr. Christiansen. This is the Siege Tank checking in from Georgia. I have a quick question for you and for whoever is riding shotgun, which is, what would be funnier? What would make you laugh harder if it turned out that there was irrefutable evidence that Big Mike was swinging some pipe, or Ilhan Omar getting deported? Which of those two would be funnier? Thank you.
I would certainly welcome both developments, of course, but I wouldn't even welcome the Big Mike swinging pipe development, because that is already irrefutably established. I have the Ellen video ready to play. Here's Big Mike dancing on Ellen some years ago. I don't know what is swinging around in those pants, but there's something. I don't know what we're looking at, but something of weight, something of girth is protruding from those white pants. So that's proven to me. That's already a conclusion. But okay, if we could have like that is proven even more, or Ilhan Omar is deported. What's funnier? Ilhan Omar getting deported. Sorry, I'll get this guy's face out of here. We don't need to look at that anymore. Ilhan Omar getting deported is it would be funny, but there's a level of sincerity to it. Like that is a matter of justice. And if I saw Ilhan Omar get deported, I would feel compelled to salute, and I would feel compelled to pledge allegiance to the United States of America and all that stuff. I would still laugh, and it would still be funny. But Big Mike swinging pipe is pure comedy. So to me, the answer is squarely Big Mike's giant penis is funnier than Ilhan Omar getting deported.
I'm right there with you. One of them makes me happier. The other one is funnier.
Can I ask you to specify which one makes you happier?
Ilhan Omar getting BTFO'd out of this country is a just outcome that would make me very happy. I would be very happy to see that happen. I don't understand why she should be allowed to operate with any vested authority from the people. She doesn't deserve it. She doesn't deserve to wield government power. She doesn't deserve to even be here.
What do you think is, because I'm convinced now that her entire citizenship is fraudulent, which I wasn't aware of previously, but I learned about that last month. Do you think it is more just for her to be imprisoned here or for her to be sent back to Mogadishu?
So it depends on if her entire citizenship claim is fraudulent, then deportation. If she gained her citizenship legally, but then committed fraud for other people to gain their citizenship and engage,
which she also did,
the amount of fraud that she has, then she's a U.S. citizen that has broken U.S. laws and should be imprisoned in the U.S.
Yeah, well, I think she's all of the above. I think she's a foreign person who fraudulently claimed or gained citizenship, but it's not real, and then committed crimes while here in the form of her involvement with this fraud. And based on her association with the Safari restaurant and being friendlier with all of these people, more friendly than Tim Walz is with school shooters, you can't tell me Tim isn't in on it, but you definitely can't tell me Ilhan Omar isn't in on it.
Yeah,
and
she absolutely is.
That is a matter of justice too. So I don't know, like a nice prison cell here seems too kind. Mogadishu seems more punishing, but she needs to be confined to Mogadishu. She can't leave. That's what
that is the worst outcome. Yeah.
Arrange.
Being free in Somalia is worse than being imprisoned in the United States.
Please let me stay in prison. Speaking of Minnesota, I just got another call that came in a little while ago from a caller who says he wants to remain anonymous, but it's about the Minnesota stuff. I haven't heard this yet, so let's see what this caller has to say.
Hey, Matt. Rather remain anonymous for this, but just as a note to a lot of the Minnesota fraud stuff going on, with a small background in finance, I can tell you that this stuff is just so interwoven that when people say, oh, it's just childcare, oh, it's just Medicare, a lot of these people have portfolios that run interwebbed with all of these, as we've been seeing with a lot of the names that have been coming up that, like this person was in contact with a lot of these people and this people, and without getting too specific just because of my position and the job that I'm in. Like, this community is so interwoven that you cannot understand just the depth and the spider that this thing just goes everywhere. But appreciate the content. Been a long time viewer. Thank you for the content as always, man. Hope everything goes well, and God bless.
Well, thank you, and God bless you as well. Yeah, well, that's why I get annoyed with the CNN reporter talking to Nick Shirley, saying, well, they charged 80 people. Aren't you satisfied? No, that is the tippiest tip, and we need to keep going.
Yes.
Because are the depths even discoverable?
Those 80 people are not responsible for $9 billion going missing.
Yeah.
So there's many, many more.
Oh, thank you to our voicemail callers tonight. Appreciate that. I'm going to hop into emails. And, I know I got a lot of super chats to catch up on. I need to develop a plan for this Wednesday show to sort of mix super chat into it better, because I know I'm leaving you guys hanging until the end of the show, which isn't ideal. I'm going to think about how I can work on that a little bit better going forward with the Wednesday show. I know I said that previously, but I've had a lot of stuff going on. So just know if you're a super chatter on Wednesday, I appreciate you, and we're going to get to you after these emails, and I'm going to think about how I can manage this a little bit better going forward. But hopping into our email questions before super chat here. Now, this first one isn't even a question, but were you? It says Batman was part of it. Okay, wait, I got to go. That's Jenna Tolles. I got to get back to her later, because Jenna duped me in a recent Wednesday stream. Jenna is one of the few who tricked me with the name. Now, there's always a tradition of names that kind of sound real, but when you say them quickly, they're actually vulgar. And Jenna Tolles got me. I was totally duped by Jenna. And so I'm always on guard for the names that sound like they might be tricks. And at some point in recent history, Maya Dixon Butte, I thought, was trying to get me, because that sounds like my Dixon a butt is what I thought. What I thought the name was. That's my Dixon a butt. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying my Dixon a butt, Maya. And so I thought I was outsmarting Maya. Now it turns out that Maya is just a very nice, honest woman who's actually named Maya Dixon Butte. It's not my Dixon a butt. Or she's committed to the lie. This might be a troll who's very committed. But Maya says, my husband and I were catching up with some of your past episodes, and when we heard you and Batman responding to my previous question, I can confirm my maiden name is pronounced Butte, like the land form. My husband has been laughing about it ever since, teasing me about having a hyphenated last name. You've brought some much needed laughter to our holiday season. Wish you a Merry Christmas to you and your family. Have a great New Year. Well, I'm sorry what I've done to your good name, Maya.
That's unacceptable.
Well, but you brought it on yourself by hyphenating the last name. So
that's really your fault. And I also blame the chat. The chat has conditioned me into thinking that every name. No.
Just be an obedient wife and take your husband's name, and we won't have to do this.
You can be Maya Butte. Yeah,
exactly.
You don't have to be my Dixon a butt anymore. All right. Thank you, Maya. Next from Remember Kevin Flanagan. I do, but I'm not about to rehash old conflicts. But remember, Kevin Flanagan says, you wake up. It's 2008. The last 17 years were just a bad dream. Knowing what you know now, what do you do differently about your life? And what do you keep the same? I don't mean, the future stuff to change and change the world stuff. I mean, like, what would you personally change or do based on what you've learned through maturing? So if I were to go back, I was 21 years old in 2008, or 20 through most of it, and I turned 21. And a couple of things I was unclear on at the time. Number one, you have to work hard for anything that matters. And it's not that I was ever lazy. I was a college kid at the time, and I took it seriously, and I studied hard, and I got good grades, and I did all that. But what I mean by that is, I think at the time I thought, well, if I just check this box, like I go and get this degree, then someone just gives me a job that's, good pay, and I go live a good life after this. Like, the fact that I got this diploma just means someone's going to come give me prosperity at the end of this. And it's not to say I did poorly after college. I mean, I've lived independently. I was able to take care of myself. It brought me to what I have now, which is great. So it's not like it was all a disaster. But I think I just operated in a worldview that thought like life was about checking boxes and people give you stuff or something. And it's not. You have to work hard to build things. And anything worth having requires that hard work that is above and beyond the simple box checks that are supposed to get you something given from someone else. I wish I would have operated that way more in my younger years, because I think I could have built stuff better or been more further along in things I was able to build later, instead of just, wasting almost 10 years of my young adult life sitting there doing a minimally adequate job for somebody else to collect a check, because I thought that's kind of how you operate. No, you are allowed to go and build great things for yourself whenever you like. And it's not like you quit your job and you have to do, you're allowed to do that on the side too. You can have a normal day job that maybe is sort of mundane to you, but you can do all sorts of stuff on the side in your life and build great things with your free time. Instead, I sat around playing Xbox, which did bring me to YouTube. I got YouTube out of that, so I guess it wasn't all for nothing, but wish I had more clarity on that. The other thing I wish I had more clarity on was how to interact with women, what a man's proper role is with women. And likewise, I don't know if it was feminist propaganda, or I don't remember ever being taught this explicitly, but I just thought that a good man is that he pedestalizes women, I guess. Like that you're supposed to defer to women. You are supposed to appease their every whim. No. You are supposed to assume a leadership role. You are supposed to be assertive. And not only will you be unsatisfied when you defer to women's whims, they will be disgusted with you, because they won't view you as the sort of assertive leader that they are naturally inclined to be attracted to. So I spent almost all of my 20s trying to be the quote unquote nice guy, thinking that's how women were acquired. Like that's what a proper man would do. And that's not what a proper man would do. So there was a lot of frustration and a lot of confusion. And when people say, women are only attracted, or they're not attracted to nice guys, they only like jerks, or they only like bad boys. What that actually means is women are attracted to that assertive leader man. And sometimes that can be a dick or a jerk if he's like really aggressive about it. But for the most part, when you're talking about women being attracted to quote unquote jerks, it just means a guy who went for it, a guy who was that leader, a guy who was assertive. Of course, I would tell my former self, you respect women insofar as no means no and all that. But if you want a particular woman, you got to go for it. You got to be assertive. You got to be a leader. You got to present her with a plan. Hey, I would like to do this. Are you in or are you out? You don't have to say it like that because they might look at you funny, but be a leader. Like I just be, everybody's happier when you do that. It's a traditional masculine role that's going to make you feel good as a man once you get over the nervousness of it. And women are going to respond positively to it because they naturally respect and are attracted to somebody who takes that leadership role with them. So could have saved a lot of confusion in my younger years with how to interact with women, and not being such a bitch about it, thinking that they want me to just be a yes man for them and do whatever they say or something like that. You want a woman, the joke is like, you ask a woman where she wants to go for dinner and you'll get, I don't know, and 50 different answers. Exactly. That sort of indecisiveness is looking to you for leadership. It's not just what's for dinner. It's what are you going to do with your life? You have to present her with a plan for life. And once you do that, you will succeed. Wish I would have known that back then. But Skulldugger, you have any wisdom for yourself 17 years ago?
I'm sure I do. So that would have been, so we're talking about beginning of January 2008. That would have been right after I got laid off for the first time in my life. And I should have learned the lesson back then. That's what I wish I would have learned, is that there's no such thing as job security. It literally doesn't exist.
Yes.
It is almost always going to be more beneficial for you to find a way to work for yourself, if at all possible. And I I wish I would have made the transition then intil having to wait until I got laid off a second time to learn the lesson that I can't afford mentally, financially, spiritually to be laid off a third time. So I wish I would have made the career change back in 2008 and gotten around to building something for myself rather than spending years building stuff for other people for them to just cast me away anyway.
Building stuff for other people. That sounds like a story, but all right. Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm talking about too, even on the side. It's hard to just jump from your job and build a successful business overnight. In fact, it mostly can't be done. But if you want to do a side task or a side hustle that brings you income, and maybe is not a full-time job, but at least is a little bit of security away from whatever else it is that you do. And I know easier said than done for people who are parents and you got kids, you got obligations and all that. But man, it has never been easier to do something on the side, whether that's, driving for Uber or people who make all sorts of stuff on Etsy. I can't tell you how much stuff I've bought for our house on Etsy. Cool stuff that people are making. And it's not all just like, I'm not taking shots at more crafty things, but I mean practical things. One thing I think of, like, all throughout our house, I bought those cool, like, railroad track spike. They're basically coat hangers throughout our house, but you can mount them on your wall and they're a bunch of railroad spikes and they look very industrial and cool. It's just like some guy who has a welding shop in Minnesota and he sets up an Etsy account and he makes very cool, made by an honest worker in the USA products that I can order and I can have a practical purpose in my house. I don't know if that guy's a full-time welder or not, but he took advantage of an opportunity to create a product that's very useful for my family and me, and he made money off us because it's a good product. You can do it if you have something that you make or something that you do. It's never been easier to sell.
Right.
Even if there's only like a very small group of buyers for it, you can find them on the internet, and it's such a cool time for that.
Yeah, and if your first endeavor doesn't work out, try another one. Like don't ever give up on yourself. Like that's like don't ever think that you're just somebody that has to constantly work for somebody else. Like find some sort of revenue that you 100% control, and you will find so much more pride and so much more enjoyment and purpose in actually being a productive member of society.
Thank you for your thoughts on that. And thank you to Remember Kevin Flanagan for the question. The Cinnabon CEO. I don't know if it's the real guy, but he has some thoughts. Is it not completely messed up that people donated $100,000 to the Cinnabon employee who called the Somalian customers the N-word? As you correctly pointed out, we don't know the full context of that incident, so while it may be wrong to unequivocally view the Somalis as poor innocent victims, isn't it also wrong to unequivocally conclude that the employee is a poor innocent victim herself? Well, first of all, Mr. CEO, Crystal has a message for you.
You are a
It was very rude to fire her immediately. I assume this is a reference to the police body cam video that was played on Sunday.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to catch that, Skulldugger? We went through the body cam video a little bit.
I did, and way to make a horrible story worse.
I was not happy with her explanation because she didn't.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, she didn't come out looking good. I'll take your point on that, Mr. CEO.
She's never been looking good in this. Like, as somebody who has actually worked in the food service industry or any service job, it's not worth it. It's just not worth the fight. If they want the extra caramel syrup, just give them the extra caramel syrup. Like, how was this worth it for her? No, none of this.
Well,
has been worth it
you
for
just said people need to establish reliable revenue streams for themselves, and she did that.
You are a
It was worth $100,000 plus.
Yeah, that's not really the way you want to go about that. That's not it's not a sustainable business model, because what do you do? What do you do when the 100,000's gone?
Invest it wisely. I think you'll be all right.
Yes.
Let me stand up for Crystal a little bit, and of course Shiloh.
Fuck you,
the other woman to collect significantly on a similar event in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's not even sticking up for them, really. Their support is not because they are perfect or great or poor innocent victims, even, as you're saying. I do believe both were harassed, and that's what created those situations. I know Crystal didn't explain it well, but if I were betting, I bet that there was some unpoliteness that happened before that scene that we saw. But the reason they're getting so much support is people are tired of these threats to ruin your life over a word. Shiloh was threatened over a word, it backfired. Crystal was threatened over a word, it backfired insofar as she's taken care of after the loss of her job. And so the support is not really about endorsement of Shiloh or Crystal as people. The truth is, none of us actually know them. They might be total scumbags. No idea. And I think anybody who contributed to the Give Send Goes would say the same thing. We don't know. They might be great. They might be scumbags. But the point of supporting them is it's pushback against the threats that can come to any of us at any time. And I know you're thinking like, well, I'm not like, I'm a good guy Cinnabon worker and I give them the caramel, the last little drop that I can squeeze out. And I don't call them the N-word. I've worked in restaurants too, and I never, I had unruly customers. I never went that far either. But I think the point is that when this racial weaponization happens, it could in ways be thrown at any one of us. And even if you don't drop the N, the threats that come against you for not bowing to these people to their satisfaction have to be pushed back against. And that's what I think these Give, Send, Goes represent. So less to do with the people, more to do with the circumstance.
Yeah, but I mean, still at the end of the day, it's not even your business. Like, you just work there. It's not your caramel sauce. Like, just put the extra caramel sauce on.
I think
give the customers what they want
or what the
and
dispute.
let
I have
them
no
move
idea.
on with their day.
But I guess the number one, I don't know if she was out or what the reason she couldn't put more on, or if she just had enough of them. But I get it. Like, you want to be as accommodating in a customer service role as you possibly can. I'm not saying that you're wrong for that, and I think most bosses would want that. But is it not also possible that these Somalis are there doing this kind of bullshit all the time? And rightly or wrongly, her patients had been pushed all the way to.
You are a nigger.
I'm guessing there's a little bit of that going on. That this was not the first encounter, or this was not simply a matter of a caramel dispute that particular day. Just guessing. I could be totally wrong. And
if that's the case, then and you have a history with these particular customers, you inform your employer about it, and then you can start having those discussions as to whether or not these are customers that are worth turning away, refusing business to, or if your employer just doesn't care about how much caramel sauce you give out, then you just give out the caramel sauce and you let them. The easiest way to be done with them is to give them what they're asking for and move them away from your counter. And then
once you move them, then
anymore.
that's a hate crime too. You get in trouble for that. No, I get what you're saying, and I don't think it's. I think most bosses, most business owners and operators would advise the exact same thing that you're talking about. I just want to say thank you for saying caramel and recognizing that second A in there and not doing caramel. Appreciate that.
I mean, the point of this is we've got two videos of Crystal, and she's out of line in both videos. It's like at some point, it's really looking like this is a character issue with her, and not so much.
I don't even know if she's out of line in the second one. And frankly, I'd have to see more of the first one to say that she's out of line. But I would say that I'm disappointed with her non-explanation for why it happened. That said, I think the cop is out of line. I think the cop is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean, in that video, they're both out of line. But like, also, the cop is just trying to do his job. Like he's
trying to get the story. Yeah.
He's responding to a complaint, so he needs information to fill out a report. All you have to do is give him the information that he's asking you for, and then
All you
it
have to
doesn't
do
escalate
is
to the point
take
where
your
he's threatening to
SUV
arrest you.
and drive it gently at him to
If she had just
demonstrate your
answered,
Yeah.
if she had just answered his questions, it
Yeah,
would not have
from her
escalated to the
perspective-
point where he's threatening to arrest her.
Yeah, you're right that his threat to arrest came in response to her, I guess, lack of compliance or lack of telling him the information he was looking for. That said, I also think she has the right to say, hey, man, I'm exercising my Miranda rights. I'm not saying shit. So you want to talk to me? I'll get a lawyer. The problem is she kind of was half in, half out. She sort of started telling a story and then, I don't know. I don't necessarily blame her for that because I think that she started telling a story badly. The cop got a little aggressive with her in saying that you're going to be under arrest for whatever the charge is. And then she backed out at that point. So it came on from someone who wants the information of what happened. It's very unsatisfying, but I get why one would be guarded. Given that Shiloh is facing prosecution in Minnesota for much the same thing.
Sure. But I mean, they're slightly different in that Shiloh her situation was on her own personal time, just out in public. And this is a situation where you're kind of chained to your employer. So I can understand Crystal feeling a little bit more backed into a corner because it's not like she can just leave her post.
Cinnabon should lean in, man. They should have an N-bun special or Cinnabon with lots of capital N's. I don't know what you do, but as always, lean into it, and I'll become a Cinnabon customer if you do.
And I for what it's worth, I will take her at her word that she has some sort of PTSD that is contributing to her her apparent instability on camera.
She seemed very frazzled. Now, a lot of people just are in any police encounter. It's inherently an intimidating thing, so I can understand that. But okay, thank you, Mr. CEO. And maybe I'll be working for you soon. So I should probably get all my ends out before I try to get a job over at Cinnabon. Crackhead McFart Breath. Thank you for being very overt with the name. I don't have to decode this one. Hey, Matt, I was wondering what your thoughts are about Trump rescheduling the devil's lettuce. I used to be a hippie and smoke shit tons of weed, but now I only consume cannabis occasionally and at nighttime when I go to bed to help me sleep. I do it legally with a medical prescription. What are your thoughts on the morality of my consumption of weed? And do you believe it is better than taking big pharma drugs? Thanks and God bless. Man, a lot of that stuff is actually way over my understanding of the drug. So if you have a doctor telling you that this is a plausible or wise medication for whatever conditions you have, not that all doctors are inherently correct or you should trust them all the time, see 2020 and beyond, but I'm not here to tell you that that's an immoral application of the substance for your particular medicinal need. As far as what Trump did, I didn't see this. I didn't see this leading up to Christmas. It was in the news and it kind of escapes me, but you're right. Trump did change the federal classification of marijuana, and this was done through executive order, and changes how marijuana is restricted under federal law. So it was Schedule 1, which is the most restricted category, including heroin, LSD, that kind of stuff. Now it's Schedule 3, which puts it in the same group as common prescription painkillers like Tylenol with codeine, according to this reporting. And Trump said he did this for the same reason that you're talking about, to make it easier for scientists to study marijuana as a painkiller or other medicinal applications. In general, as far as how I would want drugs policed or handled, I think states policing pretty much this and pretty much everything else, as the 10th Amendment requires constitutionally, is the proper way to handle this. So a reduction in federal control, federal restriction of these sorts of things is always going to be greeted positively from me. Now, if I'm crafting the policy in my own state, I don't know that I have a problem with the medicinal application that you're talking about. Montana actually went full recreational. I don't know, what was that, 4 years ago, maybe? And I, with a very libertarian mindset at the time, voted yes in favor of the recreational legalization. now I've come to regret that a little bit, but I don't even have like a really well-reasoned principled stance. It's just that, especially out where I live, which is a little bit outside of city limits in Bozeman, you drive down some of the main streets and it's just weed shop after weed shop after weed shop. It's nothing but those green plus medical signs everywhere. And I'm like, was I an idiot for doing this? So if I was voting today, I would not vote to illegalize medicinal application, but I'd probably think twice about recreational. You have any thoughts on that, Skulldugger?
I mean, there's been a lot of talk generated by the rescheduling of it from was it 1 to 3? Yeah, Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Yeah. I don't think this is actually going to do much of anything. If anything, the main benefit is that it's going to be easier to research marijuana and THC because it's going to be easier to actually get the paperwork done. It's a lot. There's a lot less paperwork. There's a lot less red tape in actually getting your hands on the materials. So there could be some medical benefits down the road that new research has been done because of the rescheduling. But as far as it pertains to it's still illegal. So all of the problems that you have with weed as a business are still going to exist. You still can't dispensaries are still not going to be able to actually participate in the banking system with their business because it's still the product is still federally illegal. So it's not a huge deal, actually.
Yeah, as in from the federal government's perspective, recreational is not. It's not as though this changes. It'd be the same as having that sort of prescription painkiller in your possession without a prescription. Right. Would be the idea. Okay.
Yeah, this might ease some states that have sort of been on the fence, have been sort of on the borderline of legalizing recreational. This might push some states to make it more convincing now that it's not treated the same as heroin.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, crackhead. I'm glad that you're actually medical marijuana head and not crackhead, it sounds like. And thank you for your question. Appreciate it. I might have to move. I got just a couple more here, but I want to make sure we leave plenty of time for Super Chat because I've left them hanging. So I might move a little bit more quickly here. I think I got like 4 left. But Ferrum, howdy, Matt. I would like to hear your thoughts on gerrymandering. Recently, Texas lawmakers have been successful in redistricting congressional seats to reduce the number of godless communists in the House. My problem with this is that it feels like a quote unquote, it's good because my side is doing it situation, which is not a principled stance. You are the king of principled stances. I figured you'll have something insightful to say. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm not sure if I've earned it or if I'll earn it with this response. But we're talking about, or I was talking about the proper relationship between the states and the federal government with regard to drugs and with regard to pretty much everything under the 10th Amendment. I view the relationship between the federal government and the states much the same in terms of states deciding their representation in the federal government and in Congress. This is why I've been so conflicted about term limits, even though I guess I'm more on the side of get those olds out of here now. But it's a question of who do I want having the primary power, Skulldugger, in congressional representation? Is it about the states getting their representation, or is it about the federal government telling them, no, not like that? We get a lot of say in terms of who you send to DC to represent you. So I am, in terms of the concept of gerrymandering and whether the federal government ought to intervene on constitutional grounds or other federal law grounds, I don't like that stuff at all. I want the states to have lots of, if not exclusive power in deciding who they send to Congress. I know they're restrained by some things like, I don't know if the guarantee of a Republican form of government in the Constitution applies and that sort of thing. But that is to say that you probably have a problem if a state said, we're going to have a dictator who sends his best friends to be in Congress and Senate, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, in extreme cases, you might have that sort of thing. coming into conflict with the federal government or the federal constitution, let's say. But in general, you've got your state house, you've got your governor, you've got your elected officials, your state senate, or whatever the legislative structure is in that state. They're all getting together and they're deciding their representation based on majority votes and based on what we think of when we usually think of a Republican form of government. Yeah, I'm not going to send the federal government in there to say, I don't know, there's too many white people in that district or too many black people in this district or that one or that line is too irregular or that shape is too odd. Yeah, I know that means that California is going to make itself all blue despite the fact that it has the most conservative or Republican voters of any state in the union. I get that. And I sympathize. Yeah,
we already did.
Gavin already did it.
Prop 50.
Or he did. So is the vote. It was the vote of the people.
Yeah, they put it on the ballot and the people voted for it. So Prop 50, its stated purpose was to undo the advantage that Texas's lawmakers did. So whatever gains you got in Texas, you lost in California.
And is that a problem for people in California? Yeah. Is that potentially a problem for the way our own Congress, the allocation of seats in Congress now that California has figured out a way to send, I guess, 50 whatever Democrats, and in fact, I don't know how much they got out of it, like how far they skewed it. The solution to me, though, is not the federal government going in and bossing the states around to tell them how they must have their representation decided in DC. And again, it comes back to that fundamental question. What is the federal government? Is the federal government a representation of the states or a representative of the states? As in the states are kind of the boss in this relationship and the federal government exists to serve them, which I think is the correct understanding of the constitutional design, or is the federal government the boss of all the states and just gets to tell them how to run their own affairs? If that's the case, why do we have states? What's the point of states? Why don't we just have the federal government telling people you're the representative from there and you're the representative from there? I understand that there are a lot of complexities here, but I am always going to default to more power to the states because that is what protects the autonomy of the people there. That's what makes sure that you are closest to your own government representatives to make sure that where there are problems, you have a realistic chance of solving them instead of having to go through DC, which is impossible. I have no appetite for bringing in DC to fix quote unquote California problems because you want to talk about bad precedent. That get more power for DC is always bad precedent. I'm not going that road.
And what mechanism would you even use to federally quash gerrymandering? It's
well,
not
they do it with civil rights all the time, you know.
But it's not currently. You would have to do some really interesting interpretation of something already in the Constitution in order to.
Well, have you checked the penumbras? It's clearly there.
Yeah, exactly. It would have to be the shadows of the penumbras.
Yes.
Type of interpretation, because currently it's just not covered territory for the Constitution, and the 10th Amendment makes it very clear.
Hasn't stopped them before.
That's why I'm asking. Like, what is the mechanism that you're going to use federally? Because
the magical 14th Amendment, of course.
Yeah, the 14th Amendment that allows anybody I don't know if that's ever wanted.
They might use this Federal Law Civil Rights Act stuff. I don't know what they use actually. I know the 14th is magical in so many ways. It might be involved, but
at this point we should just repeal the 14th. It's been used.
I don't
so negatively so many times.
Yeah. The pure principle of the 14th, like in its what I believe is its original intent and its writing, I don't think is wrong per se, but it has been abused or I think misunderstood to completely change the relationship between the federal government and the states. And maybe I'm mistaken in saying that's misunderstood. And that's kind of the effect of the Civil War. And it comes in the context of after the Civil War. It's like, nope, if the states have these rules and if they don't follow them, the federal government gets to say F you and come in and run them over. And it's been nothing but that ever since.
Maybe we need an amendment to fix the 14th Amendment.
But you kind of have... the intent of the 14th was not to strip the 10th, and they could have done it because if hey, while we're ratifying stuff, you want to strip the 10th that talks about police powers belonging to the state and anything not articulated in here belonging to the state. They could have stripped that away. They didn't, since they're amending the Constitution. I assume they still found value in that 10th one. They weren't canceling it out with the 14th, but the 14th clearly has reigned supreme ever since.
Yeah.
Jenna Toll Hacker. I mentioned Jenna Toll earlier.
That's disgusting.
Thank you, Jenna. You won't get me again this time. What do you think is the best argument against the idea that no person should be allowed to have $1 billion? I'm skeptical of the idea of government imposing limits on how much money someone can have, but I also have to admit that I think economic leftists make interesting points illustrating how much $1 billion really is. For example, if you made $1 every second, it would take you 11 days to become a millionaire. It would take you 31 or almost 32 years to become a billionaire. So the best counter I have to that is just the definition of property. What is property in terms of philosophical or moral thought here, or philosophical or moral definitions? Property is labor plus a natural resource. That is the labor theory of property that I think is the correct understanding of property. If that is the definition of property, you take your labor, you apply it to a natural resource, it becomes your property, then there is no moral limit on the amount of property one can acquire, because that's all it is. It's the mixing of labor with a resource. Or you could, of course, acquire that resource with the fruits of your labor previously. We call that money. We call that wealth. I'll give you this for that. Your labor might not be directly involved in that exchange, but the fruits of your labor are exchanged, and that's how it happens. But if that's the definition of property, that's what it means morally. There's no cap on that. As much property as I can build or acquire through the application of my labor and the fruits of my labor, there's no moral definition to this is the limit of what you could morally have. It all comes down to what is the definition of property. And if it's simple as that, there's no cap on top of it. A cap on top of it is someone else saying, actually, I have ownership of that particular piece of property or that particular fruit of your labor because I have some judgment about you having too much. Okay, but who owns it? Who owns it to make the judgment? And if the definition is simply labor plus resource, that other person making some judgment about whether you have too much actually has no ownership claim to the property. It is invalidated by the definition of the term. So that would be my counter. I hope that's not too complicated, but what would you say to that, Skulldugger?
I think you also have to ask the question: how did this person get $1 billion? Like, what were they doing to acquire $1 billion? Like, it doesn't just. The assumption here is that they have created some sort of business or are participating in some sort of business exchange in which they are producing a good or a service that enough people find useful and find value in, that they are exchanging money for those goods and services. So there's a benefit to society from this person having made $1 billion. That also, it's not likely that you've made $1 billion by yourself. It is
very few have. Yeah.
It is almost a requisite that you would have had to have employed other people in order to get a business to the point that it is making you personally, not just the business, it is making you personally $1 billion. The other aspect to keep in mind here is liquidity. Just because you made $1 billion doesn't mean you have $1 billion. In fact, you almost couldn't have $1 billion if you made $1 billion.
If you are stupid enough to be sitting on $1 billion bank account in cash, I don't know how then I do think that you used immoral means to become a billionaire, because you're an idiot. You must not have done it correctly because you're dumb.
Yeah, you should never really have a bank account more than $250,000.
Yeah, unless, I mean, well, you get into high interest accounts and stuff, I guess, but
But even then, because the FDIC insurance only covers $250,000.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah.
if anything happens, you have multiple accounts. That's the better way of doing it. But
well, just wait until they install that wealth tax. It's coming soon. The government gets to assess what your wealth is worth and give you a tax bill for cash that you don't actually have. So you have to sell your assets to make the cash, even though there's no guarantee that there's a buyer for those assets, but you still owe the government anyway. Good luck. Can't wait.
Yeah. Can't wait. So yeah, I am very much in favor of people being able to acquire $1 billion.
It would be great. Well, yeah, I mean, would it not be awesome for all of us to be billionaires? And of course the answer is, yeah, that'd be great. It'd be, or would it not be awesome for all of us to have fabulous wealth? I think the communist and the capitalist would both agree it would. It's not possible necessarily, but the thing is, relative to the past, we all do actually have fabulous wealth. Relative to the caveman, where even the poorest person is living an incredibly luxurious life. And how do you do that? Well, you protect property rights such that people have incentive to build incredible things and build that sort of prosperity over time. And even if you don't build the awesome thing yourself, yeah, you do benefit from the cool stuff that they built. A lot of cool stuff was built to bring you this stupid show of me and Skulldugger talking to you right now. A lot of cool technology, a lot of computer parts, a lot of internet stuff, a series of tubes. All that stuff had to be built by people who had an incentive to build it because their property rights were protected and they had something to gain out of that construction. If you just say, oh, you shouldn't be rich, I'm going to take that shit from you. Yeah, well, you're actually stealing from yourself because the stuff that they were going to build was pretty cool and you might have liked it, but now they're not going to build it because you just keep stealing from them. Yeah.
Well, and also like anybody who gets around to the like hoarding the wealth argument, that commie gobbledygook, these are actually the people who are creating wealth. Typically the people who the ultra rich are typically the people who are actually creating value in this world.
Yeah.
They're actually the ones creating wealth, creating dollars out of thin air, basically. So they're not hoarding wealth. They're generating it.
Correct. Thank you, Jenna. Appreciate it. Okay. Chief Justice, what do you think is more pervasive in the United States? Prejudice against rural Americans or prejudice against urban Americans? Well, prejudice against urban Americans is, that's earned.
That's unacceptable.
Prejudice against urban Americans is why we have Crystal at Cinnabon.
Urban American fatigue.
Urban American fatigue. Yeah. Okay. There's of course prejudice against both, and they both the urban and the rural region have their purposes. Rural regions traditionally produce the sort of stuff like food, of course, we all need to eat. Other resources in terms of mining or forestry or other stuff that we need to build things generally comes from rural places. That said, before it was all corrupted and lost, urban centers have things like schools where people learn important things instead of getting indoctrinated into communist nonsense and stuff like that. They have marketplaces. Stuff that gets built way out there in the boonies comes to the urban center to be traded. That is important too. So I'm not dismissing either, but I do think, at least currently, the prejudice against rural America is more significant and more wrong in my judgment, precisely because they produce the sort of necessities that, well, by necessity, we wouldn't want to lose them. We need food. We need those natural resources extracted and developed. The urban world right now, I think, is a lot of luxury, and that's putting it at its best. Like, luxury is great. Per our conversation before this, I like luxury. I like wealth. It's cool that we can build it. But luxury in the academic sense of being contrary to the real world. Like these are urban centers have become the epicenter of lies and philosophical falsehood in all this. So I think that the prejudice against urban centers is based on a lot of truth about the decay of these places. Prejudice against rural Americans really denies the reality of the vital production that they do. We all need, we all rely on. If you don't produce those food items, you don't produce those natural resources to build stuff, we're screwed. And you don't have your stupid ivory tower in the middle of the city to philosophize about a bunch of bullshit that isn't even true.
Yeah. I mean, in order for society to really function well, and this has kind of been true for really all of human history since we've been writing stuff down, is a mixture of both is really necessary in order to push a society forward. You have to have the urban side of your society that allows for the actual production of food and agriculture and that kind of stuff, and the culture that goes with it. And you need the commerce center that has a different set of values. It's not necessarily that one is better than the other. So this kind of versus language is not super productive because they're both necessary.
There you go, riding that fence again. Giving it a 5. No, that's all right. Obviously, I take your point. You can't have one without the other, at least at its maximum effectiveness.
I will agree with your point, though. Like the prejudice against rural, as it pertains to America specifically, the prejudice against rural Americans is entirely unearned.
Did you ever see that? Is that? I don't know a lot about Kyle Kalinske. I'm dropping names for people I don't know a lot about, which is probably a mistake. I'm already regretting doing this as I'm talking it out. But there's a famous tweet of his where he's flying over somewhere in rural America, apparently confused about what all the square-shaped formations in the land are.
Yeah.
And of course, anybody who lives in a non-urban place understands those are agricultural developments we call farms and ranches, and the land looks that way because it's been developed as such, not because it's a curious natural formation that maybe some geologist could explain to you or something. But the reason I want to be careful about what I'm saying is, do we know that he was sincere when he posted that, or was that a troll?
Yeah, who knows?
If it's real, that's the sort of stuff I'm talking about. Is like, those are the people who feed you, dude. But it might have been a bit that I didn't understand. All right. Who's your data? Matt, first time submitting a comment. I'm there with you on being skeptical of U.S. involvement in Venezuela, though I'm probably just a little more optimistic than you. However, you did make a point regarding America First policy I wanted to contest. You seem to be claiming that the primary beneficiary, here we go again, Skulldugger, primary beneficiary of an American act or intervention was not America. If that's the case, then the act was contradictory to the goals of America First policy. However, this isn't necessarily true. As far as I understand, what makes an action America First is that the American interest is the primary or even only consideration and the determining factor in whether or not to engage in that action. Basically, it's possible that an act may benefit another country more directly than our own, but the only reason we do it at all is because it benefits us and we determined it was worth it for us. The benefit to the other country is just a bonus in our consideration. Of course, whether or not Trump's actions in Venezuela are to America's long-term benefit remains to be seen. Hope I express myself clearly. Love your show, Matt. God bless you and your family. Well, God bless you as well. And this is much the same as the voicemail from earlier. Yeah. So I'll say basically the same thing I said there. Again, yeah, is it possible that there are things you can do that benefit your country and another country and they're wise for that reason? Yes. I stand by the definitional premise that if you're saying the primary beneficiary of a move is people in another country, it is by definition not America First, because the primary benefit goes to somebody else. If the first benefit goes to somebody else, that's not America First. Again, doesn't mean it's a bad thing automatically. I just don't think it squares with the overall philosophy. We are standing up for Americans first by making sure that Venezuelans benefit first. That doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. It's contradictory in its terms. And I just, I know we're getting a little technical here. I know that Trump was speaking off the cuff when he said that, and it wasn't necessarily scripted. So it's more nuanced than the very strict terms that I'm applying here. Whenever I hear someone saying other countries' citizens are going to benefit primarily, that's a red flag to me in terms of what sort of policy I want to pursue, because that means that our country, while maybe still benefiting, is still doing something in primary service to people in another country, and that's not the way I want to operate.
I mean, it's going to require some sort of definition of terms as far as what an actual benefit means.
But is it the sole benefit?
I mean, at this point, I mean, at this point, if you're saying that anything that benefits America can qualify as an America First policy, first of all, you're justifying a lot of stuff. And second of all, at this point, then it just becomes a math problem. It becomes a cost benefit analysis. So, I mean, sure, are we going to benefit from Maduro no longer being in charge of Venezuela? I mean, maybe, depending on who runs Venezuela next. Because if it's just somebody worse, then we might not get any benefit.
It is worse. It's Chick Maduro, as we were talking about. It's Chick Maduro. We're screwed.
She's not going to last very long. I mean, there's already like a lightweight attempted coup. Like,
I know they were talking about it. Yeah.
As soon as she got sworn in, that head of the military guy, who's also on our wanted list, is saying that he's not going to allow her to run the country. So.
Well, thanks to our emailers tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to our callers, our voicemailers. Is that a word? Thanks to you as well. And as a reminder, if you'd like to leave an email question or a voicemail for the show, head on over to the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. Phone number and the email submission form are right there on that page for you. But we got to get to Super Chat. We'll call it a night. I've made you Super Chatters wait far too long. And again, my apology for that. My appreciation for your support for the show. But Long Dong John says, did the retard say, first of all, the R word? This is shameful. Did the retard say he'd be deploying the Minnesota National Guard against ICE? I interpreted him to mean to stop rioters, but maybe you're right. Maybe he wants them to fight ICE. Sounds insurrection-y to me. Between that and the scam-ollies, the walls must be closing in. There's another irony there. The walls are closing in, Timmy. I'm going to be supremely disappointed if that guy we talk about the disappointment for not, Pam Bondi and company not doing sufficient prosecutions. If Tim Walz just quietly backs away into the hedges like Homer Simpson after all of this, I know everybody's got their list of inexcusables, and maybe there are more credible candidates than Tim Walz. If that guy escapes justice, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm voting for anymore. That's like, I know that's going to put me into some black belt territory if we don't successfully go after that guy. Biggest fraud ever that we know of.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, at this point, I would be surprised if anything happened at this point. I'm already kind of in the black belt territory. So,
all right. Purpose of the Ages ministry. Well, first of all,
I am not going to be niggardly. We love you. You're very special.
I really appreciate your support for the show, Mr. Purpose of the Ages, and not just tonight, but always, because you're always there in the super chat. Man, that's an incredible contribution, and thank you for keeping the operation running. I appreciate that. And I don't know if you support through the site, but Purpose of the Ages, if you want to be a club member, you just email me. You are an automatic club member for sure. But all the best to you and your family. Says, unfortunately, I'm nearly always hosting an in-house Bible study on Wednesdays, and I rarely listen live. 6 years straight now, with almost no breaks and 3 newborns. What I appreciate about Matt is hearing a reasonable voice amplify my inner troll and alt-right nature. It's not evil to have an opinion, but it is dangerous. God bless Matt. Well, God bless you as well, Purpose of the Ages, and your family. It was 3 newborns? I'm sure you've told me that before. But, yeah, I don't have 3 newborns, but I do have 3 young kids, and it's a test, man. But that's God's purpose for you. So Godspeed and all the best to you and your family. Appreciate it. I'm honored to know I count as. Am I reading that right to say that I'm an alt-right influence to him? All right, I'll convert you off that fence, Skulldugger, very soon. I'll make an alt-right man out of you. You keep listening to me. Joshy boy, if you enjoy Matt's stuff, consider supporting by subscribing and sharing. Hell, come on the calls so we can hear your thoughts and judge you harshly and unforgivingly. Thank you, Joshy, and appreciate your support for the show and sitting in on the show. And yeah, it's I'm glad the voicemails have been fairly successful in my estimation too, because it's great to get people to participate by voice. But I know just like hanging out in a Discord server is, number one, kind of confusing if you don't use Discord regularly. And two, it's kind of a time suck. Like you got to, you've called in for a long time, Skulldugger, and I appreciate that you have. But there's a lot of time committed to doing that, and not everybody is sitting on that kind of time. So, Joshy Boy also says, a child needs neither two mothers nor two fathers, but one father and one mother.
Bingo.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into the lesbianism of this because it seems kind of insensitive given the outcome of what happened in Minneapolis. But I just got to say, God bless that kid. Like I was talking about with Frank, man. The fact that there is some kid with two moms now reduced to one, there's a lot that had to be explained to that kid already that the kid doesn't deserve. I don't know if this woman is his biological mother or not, but whatever she was a female parent in his household. And now removed through her own absurdity. And what a terrible thing for a 6-year-old child to have to try to understand. The biggest victim in this is that child. And the ICE agent himself is also a victim. Like I was talking about with Frank, it's not like I'm sure he's not patting himself on the back. Job well done, man. Really crushed it. Glad. I heard a report on Fox earlier, or my dad was talking about it. So if my dad said it, it's true. He's not a liar. But there's information out there that this agent who shot was actually previously dragged by a car recently. So he is not looking to have car-related incidents thrown upon him. And I'm sure that probably prompted him to not gamble in this situation.
I bet. I mean, the attacks on ICE agents are like through the roof right now, in a way that they're being attacked on a scale that the agency has never witnessed before. And this is an agency that is used to doing battle with the Mexican cartels.
Well, so you want to battle the cartels. You want to battle Minneapolis lesbians. It's not an easy choice, actually.
So to put that into scale, they are now more twitchy around American liberals than they are the Mexican cartels.
Maybe.
Like,
I feel like the cartels and ICE probably understand each other better. They have
that's probably true.
They have one of those not a wink and nod like they approve of each other, but you know how in movies sometimes enemies like nod at each other because they understand each other?
They understand.
Yeah.
Simpatico.
Right. That kind of relationship.
I was hearing some takes that people, I saw a number of people have put this out there saying that he stepped in front of the car for the purpose of being able to justify a shot.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sure he was just eager. He loved.
That's a Tim Walz level take right there.
Yeah. Right.
The R word. This is shameful.
Long Dong John, thank you, Raja Mahan. Your censorship made this clip comedy gold. Also, Frank, I bet she'd be thrilled she made herself a martyr. I think he's talking about the honk honks. I have to put honk honks on gunshots so that Raja Mahan doesn't take me out. I'm glad you like the honk honk choice because I never know what to do for the gunshots. It seems like honk honk was the, like I said, it's the most clown world thing I can apply on there.
Yeah.
Voss Boss. I'll be sure to sign up when my new card is in. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
We love you. You're very special.
Brian Chi. All hail the Christiansen. Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm the Christiansen. There are no others. They all hail me. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for supporting the show. And well, I was going to say thank you for spelling my name correctly, but you actually there are a couple mistakes in there, so we're going to have to get that corrected, Brian. But valiant effort. I don't think there's a person on the planet, because that sounds like I'm taking shots at you, Brian. I'm not. I'm just laughing at how nobody can spell my name. I don't know if there's anybody I've ever known in my entire life who nailed it first try.
First try, yeah.
And it's like when I married my wife, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I said something to the effect of like, okay, speaking of that assertive male leadership role, like I will give you a future worth having if you will help me achieve a future worth having. We can build something great together and beautiful together, and I hope that we have, and I hope we continue to build. However, I need you to understand the fate that you will face with this last name and people trying to read it and spell it, and you challenging the character limits on certain forms where you have a 12-letter last name and they maybe only give you 10. But thankfully, those forms have been extended by all the hyphenated women out there, like Maya, like my dick in a butt, or whatever her name was. Yeah, it's been a challenge.
Yeah, I actually have the same issue as I have what is actually a common last name, but I have an uncommon spelling of it, and so it's a wild ride trying to.
Is that now? I know what it is, and I'm not going to say it, but that's uncommon. I didn't feel like that was uncommon, but I guess I don't know.
It is the most uncommon version of the last name.
Okay. Producer Tim. Oh, you know what? Tim, I forgot. I already forgot it. Tim was going to have a call after the emails because Tim doesn't. Oh. Tim used to call and Tim, if you're still, let me just pull Tim in. Hey, Tim, I realize I forgot your call. Do you want to do a call?
I assumed you were just running out of time and you want to move on.
Oh, no, you could do I told you could do a call because Tim doesn't ever get to do a call anymore. Do you want to do a call?
If you're happy to, yeah, I've got the notes set up so I can just make it kind of nice and quick and efficient. So
okay, what do you got?
Okay, so it's kind of sorry. Let me just mute the stream. I've just got the stream going so I can listen in. So it's kind of related to the story you said at the end there, and I just want to get your guys' perspective of
the tranny at JD's house.
Yeah. So the idea with gender affirming care is pretty much that you just agree with whatever the person says. No questions, whether that be for ideological reasons. Pardon me. Maybe you're just too much of a coward to actually say anything. Tamara Pitsky, that woman you interviewed with the patient that said they were a wounded male dog.
That was one of the lost tenant interviews, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to raise a point and see what you guys think. If you don't have the guts to actually delve into why a patient might be expressing gender confusion, whether they are or not, who knows, it seems like you're definitely not going to delve any further into other mental health issues, right? So as a result, it's likely they're going to miss things like if a patient's going to be prone to violence or things like that. And as such, you're going to get things like people going out committing shootings, which I'm wondering if they've been missed because, again, they just don't have the guts or the ideological reason to do it. Well, and the other thing I thought of just before the show, sorry, just quickly. Also, if someone's already quite emotionally unstable and you're flooding them with hormones, that's the other thing I only just thought about. What does that do, though? I'm just wondering what you guys kind of think about.
It makes you a friend of Tim Walz, is what it does. We've seen that effect many times.
Absolutely.
But thank you for the call, Tim. Takes me back. The politicization, I always hate saying that word because I think I mispronounce it. The politicization of the medical world, the psychiatric world, to the extent it is corrupted our justice system where we excuse the criminal behavior of people. Oh, it's just mental illness, so he or she should go to therapy instead of face justice. Okay, that is misguided insofar as crimes still need justice, and we're realizing the consequences of that. But it assumes that the mental health treatment will also be proper in its application, and the ideological excuse making for the criminal behavior in the form of mental illness, I think, to your point, translates over to the psychiatric treatment or whatever the medical treatment is, where if we feel bad about whatever condition this person may have, who's to say we're not going to excuse it or explain it away in the medical context too, in the same way we just did in the legal context? Everything's normal. Nothing's abnormal or bad anymore. It's all moral. It's all morally relative. There's no good. There's no bad. There's just different ways of living. There's no sane. There's no crazy. There's no legal or illegal. And yeah, I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these results is there's no judgment to be made in the criminal context. So why would there be judgment to be made in the medical or therapeutic context? There isn't. Oh, you're just a normal misunderstood person. Go have a good day and get out of here.
Pretty much. I mean, even the thing like the shooting before is I look at that and go, I think it's an extension of the same sort of idea of people won't just say, you know what, some people are here illegally, they shouldn't be, regardless of whether they committed worse crimes or not, we need to get them out of here. They've kind of riled people up and, and not admitted that, you know what, maybe there's just some people that are not supposed to be here, so.
Well, thank you, Tim. Do you have any thoughts on that, Skulldugger?
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things to sort of consider here is as gender affirming care has become the standard, it has replaced the old standard, which was actually addressing these gender issues as a mental illness. It's no longer treated as a mental illness itself.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, when transgenderism was actually treated as a mental illness, we had fewer transgender individuals committing violent crimes. And now that we're no longer treating them for mental illnesses and we're just affirming their gender identity, there appears to be a increase in their instability. It's,
It looks like that's cherry picked. There's no data to support that. Thank you, Tim. I got to get into these chats, but if you just have a quick last word, go for it.
Oh, well, yeah, speaking of chats, if some of my chats are a bit spicy today, I helped my parents move house yesterday, and I'm tired and sore and a bit past it, so I might be a bit cranky today.
Spicy chats, all right. Let's see how spicy they are. I'll get into them.
Good New Year, by the way. So.
Yeah, Happy New Year, and thank you for your help with the production as always.
No worries, you guys have a good one.
If you call the show, if you're a first-time caller, maybe thought of someone who's thinking about calling in on the Discord server for the first time or getting into it, you get to talk to Tim while you wait. So that's the fun part. He'll help you through the process, so you can look forward to that.
Yes.
Appreciate Tim's help.
And his no need for the apology, Tim. A spicy Tim is a preferred Tim.
Well, he starts off this chat right away. Apology for the language, man. Okay, all right. I refuse to be lectured by these C words. I can't have these cunts. I know you come from Australia, but we have standards.
That's not even a cuss word there. So
lectured by these cunts who rile up their Democratic base and then decry said base getting hurt or killed when they attack law enforcement, who inevitably will and should defend themselves. I'm also fucking sick of people who are saying she was turning her wheels, so she was clearly trying to avoid hitting them. The best way to avoid hitting someone with your car, keep your foot off the fucking accelerator. Absolutely fucking idiots. Also, don't park perpendicularly she's clearly obstructing. Why was her car oriented that way in the first place? Jacob Fry had said this a couple weeks ago. Oh, with all this, the Minneapolis mayor. Oh, with all this ICE presence, he said something like someone's going to get killed or something bad's going to happen, foreshadowing this. And cynically, are these people worried or are they hopeful? Are they anticipating? Are they looking forward to what they're talking about? I'm not saying he's calling for it, but isn't it kind of implied? Hey, if ICE is here, I don't know. Some of our friends might do some stuff to them. It seemed to be what he was saying.
Yeah, and Tim did point out in the chat here that ICE officer was indeed struck and dragged by a vehicle.
So that is correct.
June.
Told you my dad's not a liar. Tim also says, I'm sorry, man, but I have to call you out on some clearly fake news. Okay, what's that about? You identified somebody as Jacob Fry in the story earlier in the stream. That was clearly not Jacob Fry, and we know that because whoever that was did not speak a word of Somali. Okay.
You are fake news. Very fake news.
All right, I'll accept it. I didn't see him eating any Somali beans either. Come on, Brian. Fine, I'll bump my contribution from $1 a month to $3 a month. I'm black after all. I can't fully commit to anything. Well, thank you for your self-awareness, and thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brian. Long Dong John. Matt and I once made love. He said he needed the money, so I met him in a men's room at Town Pump after he finished cleaning it. Hold on, I don't have my gay sounders ready. Which one do I want here? I want this one.
I want some butts!
Speaking of Town Pump.
There it is.
I debuted a new Town Pump hat on the show. I picked up another Town Pump hat.
Nice.
So I got a few Town Pump hats ready to go, and maybe they'll give me an endorsement deal. I actually treat Town Pump bathrooms with respect. They keep them immaculately clean there, and I respect that, and I keep them clean myself. I don't engage in that sort of behavior that Long Dong John is talking about. Alki Volt Tesus. I'm sure that's Latin of some sort, and I've butchered it. Even if I miss some of the live streams, I've always enjoyed and make time for your videos. You and few others have always paralleled my own political journey, so I hope you're able to keep it up. Well, thank you. I appreciate your support for the show, and yeah, you know, I totally. That's why I enjoy making both things, like short, focused videos and long form streams. There's a different audience or for both, really, or a different purpose for both. And for everybody that's like, oh, I like a nice, concise argument about something that's interesting. Yeah, I do too. There's also guys driving trucks and doing stuff where you got a desk job and you just need something playing in the background for several hours. That's an important product too. And I love different things about both of them. So thank you for putting me in position to make both of those things, Mr. Latin that I can't say. Aliki Volt Tesus, I think. I don't know. VV, responding to your Matt Club, I'll join. I've been subscribed and watching regularly since your first LS. What is LS? I should know that.
Live
That
stream.
said, oh, well, thanks for, thanks. I should have known that. Since your first live stream. Was it gaming? Was it the first Matt and Blonde show? I don't even know. But that said, there's banter in chat about amount of content. Do you think a third 15-minute video is a big ask? I think it would help in the YouTube algorithm. Well, first of all, thank you for your support for the show.
I am not going to be niggardly.
For the most part, a third video is quite tough because it would require. I'd probably have to eliminate like this Wednesday stream to do it. But even if I did, it would still be quite tough because a lot of those are like almost 2-day productions. Like I got to be thinking about it ahead of the day that I actually make it. And at that point, I'd be in a constant like video research, video cycle every day straight all the time. And there'd be no departure from that. It's not impossible, but I do think the quality of them would suffer. And I really hesitate to try to do that. But I'm not opposed to changing the structure at some point if it was necessary. Yeah, the shorter videos are always going to be the greater pull just because most people are interested in listening to something that's 10 to 15 minutes, not 3 hours like I'm going to do tonight if I don't hurry up here. But yeah, I don't have plans to do that, VV, but I'm not slamming the door on any sort of content change that maybe would be beneficial. I just haven't thought about that a lot.
Bring back the movie review.
You want to do it? You want to be my movie review guy? I need someone to work with on that. Are you really into movies?
I am a bit of a cinephile. I actually went to film school, so.
Oh, well, what's your opinion on Groundhog Day? I need to know that.
We don't have time to talk about this, Matt.
How would you rate it 0 to 10?
It's one of the greatest comedies ever made.
Get the hell out of here.
Okay. Well, you're out of consideration for movie review guy.
You're fired.
But it was fun while it lasted.
I like Monty Python and the Holy Grail as well. So.
Shut up, faggot.
Now we're really done. Yair Bedell. Oh, wait, no, Tom. I don't want to skip Tom. No, wait, I got to get to Tim. I skipped several here. David Hogg is a good friend of mine, is not really a selling point, Tim. I should have emphasized, as I put in the montage. David Hogg is Adam Lanza. When Tim Walz says, I'm friends with school shooters and I'm friends with David Hogg, that's the same thing. they are one and the same. When he clarifies, that's what he means. 2, I was shocked to hear Tim Walz saying, I won't mince words. That's got to be the first time I've ever seen him not mincing. And 3, stop giving all Tims a bad name.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah. Speaking of Tims, Tim Hammond. Been watching Matt since the Skag days. I will be subscribing tonight when I'm off work. This channel needs to continue, so I hope others do as well. Here are a few bones to keep Matt from starting an OnlyFans page. Thank you. I don't know if my subscriptions over there would be very successful, but thank you, Tim. I appreciate it, especially if you've been along for been around for as long as you have. Yair Bedell. Hey, Matt, long time hat-wearing listener. I assume you're a small hat-wearing listener is what you're talking about, because I'm a hat-wearing host right now, but I think that's what you mean. Probably the only one to stick around, keep up the good work, have some of my literal shekels. My paycheck is in shekels, NIS currency, so I assume that's legit. All right, there you go. Funded by Israel, confirmed. My what is it? The $7,000. My $7,000 hit. My direct deposit hit. And I want to tell you all that Bibi Netanyahu is the greatest global leader the world has ever seen. Absolutely nothing wrong was done in Palestine whatsoever. And the greatest threat to global security on the face of the planet, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and the rest of them. And by the way, make sure you listen to the Ben Shapiro show tomorrow. It's very important.
Now you got to retweet Mark Levin.
Oh yeah, it didn't Dan Bongino come back to retweet Mark Levin? Didn't he do that today? Oh god! All right.
Yes, he did.
Mark Levin. I don't have time. Holy cow, man! I'm just gonna leave it. That's all I'm gonna say about Mark Levin in recent months. Holy cow, man!
That's all you need to say.
Egrid, love you, buddy, but giving context to one's current situation isn't playing the victim. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. All right, I'm not gonna. Listen, Egrid is the caller from earlier. Egrid's a good guy. I don't want it to come off like, oh, he's bad. I'm mad at him or whatever. No, I mean I disagree totally with what he's saying, but it's fine. You can say it. You don't have to agree with me fully to call into the show. You can say what you want to say. So it's not a hostility thing, and I appreciate it, Joshy. And I'm sure Egrid will be back. You know, he after all, he told me to read my Bible. I can't be that mad at him, right? So
I don't know. By Matt P standards, he hates you.
Oh, we're going there. Oh man, I wasn't
slight
gonna...
criticism equals slight criticism equals
no,
hate.
I am not opening up the Skulldugger versus Matt Palumbo.
We actually hashed it out. We're fine.
Yeah, I'm glad. I think it was, without getting into it, I think it was total misunderstanding for both of you, and but I know how that goes. Like I know how chat versus someone live context or intent can get lost, and all of a sudden this is one reason why I try not to interact with chat in that way. Like chat is for shit talking, and I don't know what your intent was and whether you were shit talking or not, but you can't be reading chat seriously and start engaging. You're going to end up in a weird rage fight, and I'm glad it didn't escalate to rage fight, and I'm glad you guys are good, but I thought it was all a joke, and I'm like, well, wait, you guys are both serious? You guys are actually fighting? All right. Tortuga. Matt, you need to stop pretending like your wife and kids are a valid reason to ask for support for the product we're enjoying. We've all moved on since your marriage and their births. Yeesh. Well, thank you for, again, correcting me on how I need to try to make the sales pitch. No, I know you're kidding around, Tortuga. And but yeah, the reason I bring that up is not... it's because... Even though I love doing this as a quote-unquote job, and I hope I can do it for the rest of my life, it'd be awesome. It is in recognition that I am not identified by my job. Nobody is, in the same way you were talking about earlier. Like you can't allow a job, especially working for somebody else, to be your core identity. It's not. Yeah. My job, even a job I love, a dream job, is still in service to my primary, Skulldugger, my primary purpose, which is husband and father. And whatever job I have, if it doesn't serve that primary purpose, you have to find a situation that does. And so to me, I guess I don't even, when my wife and kids come into these sorts of conversations, it's because that is what is the purpose that is being served here. And I'm glad that people find a primary purpose in just having it as a part of their lives otherwise. But for me, of course, that is its primary purpose, is making sure I'm fulfilling my role as provider. And I'm very grateful to everybody who gives me the opportunity to provide this way, because that's a hell of a deal, and I'm really grateful for it. Unthoughtful speech. The unknown caller suggested a comedian, Danny Polishuk from podcast Boyscast and Ryan Long. It's a good recommendation. Well, thank you. I'll hopefully he'll email me and I'll have a chance to look into them. I don't know the names, so I'll take your word for it. Ryan Allen, and it's estimated Venezuela owes China $10 to $18 billion. So I say we have Minnesota Somalis pay it back to Venezuela.
Bingo.
Okay. That's pretty
that was the money I was talking about earlier. Is that's an outstanding debt still, and it's the question is now, who pays China now?
Dwayne Thompson, sorry I'm late. Welcome Frank to Matt, and thank you both for providing the duct tape, add baling wire, entertainment. Well, thank you. And I want to say about, people know that Frank and I are good friends and we're kind of in the same sphere. I just want to emphasize, and I probably don't do it enough, and I should do it not at the end of the stream, the next time Frank is on. Not only if you enjoy this show, do I think you'd probably enjoy Frank's program because we have similar interests and a similar sense of humor. So if you want more content of this style, I think Frank is a great candidate for that. But I just want to say, knowing him personally and interacting with him personally for years now, there are few guys I would actually trust with my life on the line that I've met, and Frank is one of them. There, in a world full of people with questionable motives and dishonesties and men behind curtains, and what you see on the camera is not necessarily who the person actually is. In a world of perpetual disappointment with others, as I've gotten to know them, like respected them on a high level and then maybe worked with them to some extent or gotten to know them and seen something else, Frank is that guy who is exactly who he presents himself as. There's nothing fake about what he's doing. He's a totally trustworthy dude. And of all the people I've met on the internet, where I'm like, yeah, if I had to go to war tomorrow, I'm taking Frank with me because I can trust him. He's that kind of guy. And so his content's great and it's influenced me in a lot of ways. But as far as just content of the man, character of the man, I have a lot of respect for him, and so I want him to succeed too. And I appreciate that you have nice things to say about him. Newbie of Death Review: if weed hurts short-term memory, why do I always remember to smoke weed? A good question. I've heard conflicting takes on whether weed is addictive. I don't know what its addictive chemical properties or not are. But I do know the people that enjoy it seem to enjoy it habitually. Man, do they. They if they can quit easily, they sure choose not to. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I'm CIA.
Fed.
Matt, have you considered going the VTuber route and bringing in the mythical modern audience? Models are cheap and customizable. You would just need to practice your uwus and ara-aras. What is this? What is VTuber? What am I missing here? I don't know what this is. VTuber mythical modern audience? Is this what do you have access to Google, Skulldugger?
I do.
Can you inform my apparently boomer ass what VTube and VTubing is? I don't know what that is. I'm going to take another chat, Mr. CIA agent, and come back to you in a moment. Semper Ad Meliora, have you ever thought about using transcripts of your videos to publish a book? I sincerely think your style and content in these videos is print-worthy. You know, I probably should have kept a written record of everything I make, because everything I do in a short-form video, I write out, of course, as though it's like an article or it's an essay first, and then it becomes a video. And I don't really have a written record of them. That's probably foolish on my end. I just have a Google Doc where I write them, and then I deliver them, and then I delete it, and I start over. And the finished product, the only record is the video. So there's no writing later. And you're right, I probably should have done that. But now I'm so far into it that I don't know. There's so much that I wouldn't be able to capture. But I appreciate that you appreciate the writing in that way, because that's the way that I operate. It's a written thing first, and it's kind of a delivered video or audio product second. But Skulldugger, do you have thank you, Semper Ad Meliora, do you have clarity on VTubing?
I do. So according to the Google machines, a VTuber is a virtual YouTuber. Okay. So an online entertainer who uses a digital computer-generated avatar, often inspired by anime, instead of showing their real face.
Oh, so they are a real YouTuber. They just have a front, an avatar presentation.
An avatar persona, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you're just saying I should put like some anime, some sort of sexually appealing anime character in place of myself. Hey, man, I don't claim to have sex appeal, but maybe I could go that route. Maybe I could get into like the tentacle stuff so that people who are into that might follow my material. I don't know. Thank you, Mr. Fed. I appreciate the suggestion from the CIA. Taker 610, what essentially would the need for the military be if we literally conducted no foreign activities? Why would Democrats not seek to defund it? From their perspective, their perspective is just if Trump does it, it's bad. Now, from my own, I guess, isolationist perspective would probably be the title that would be assigned to me. I generally don't want a lot of military involvement across the world. Of course, my own view would be like, if you come and hit us or mess with us, then we're going to send our military there and you're going to find out. And that would be the role. So in my own view, it wouldn't be no foreign involvement ever. It's just very restricted and according to a set of circumstances, a defined set of circumstances. From the Democrat perspective, it's just, did Trump do it? Then it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taker also says, so if we go into Moscow and arrest and remove, okay, so this is an interesting hypothetical. If we go into Moscow and arrest and remove Putin, then all the Ukraine flags become Russia flags. We know anti-Trumpers by now, it would happen. That is, what if Trump did that? What if he sent the same military operation to Moscow and removed Putin in the same way? What would the reaction be? Reinstate Putin?
Yeah. Basically, they'd have to to oppose, especially because you can't use the Monroe Doctrine as your bright shiny excuse for that one. Doesn't really fit there.
Tim lastly says, I've been watching movies my entire life and film studies was one of my majors in my journalism degree. Would love to see movie reviews return and to help out in some way with them. And stop saying Matt will start selling feet pics, you weirdos. Feet are off the table. Although I did once show my feet on the stream way back in the day for a super chat. It's one of my great regrets. It's out there somewhere. Okay, just a few on Rumble and we'll call it a night. And thanks for sticking around for the long haul, Skulldugger. Appreciate your endurance this evening. Newbie of Death over on Rumble. What a tragedy. When will we finally ban women drivers? This wouldn't have happened in Saudi Arabia. That's true. Didn't they legalize it? Don't they have chick drivers now? Like recently?
They do. There's like, you have to qualify for it. It's not, from my understanding, it's not any woman can get a driver's license.
Yeah, you need like at least 5 male witnesses to say that you're reasonably sane.
From my understanding, is like you have to have the men in your life vouch for them. So.
Oh no. Thank you, Newbie of Death. First of all, I'm going to read. Hey, I'll read the chat no matter what it says. I don't have a policy of not reading chats. And by the way, if it seems like I didn't read your chat, it's an honest miss. Sometimes I just miss them, and I'll give you a refund if I do miss it. So that's the policy. I'm going to read this, even though I don't like the conflict it invites. But Seagram's Gin, first of all, thank you for your support for the show.
I am not going to be niggardly.
We love you. You're very special.
I'm very humbled by it, and thank you for keeping the operation running, and it's much appreciated. Well, frankly, I'm a little bit speechless when people choose to support the show with such generosity. So thank you for that. Now, the content of the chat. Here's to you still living rent-free in Blonde's head, lol. Okay. I don't know if I am. Truthfully, I don't know if I am. And I hope that I'm not. You know, that's obviously it's a conflict that I don't think will be resolved, and I have no interest in resolving given the treatment that happened. But I'm not so I want people to be able to move on. Even though we don't have any sort of future together, I am not so vindictive that I want people to suffer or have bad things come to them. I hope the best for her family. I hope the best for whatever she wants to do. It won't be with my involvement, but that's okay. You know, I know you're joking, but I actually don't want her to be consumed by that for the rest of her life. I hope she has plenty of things that are much more important to her in the future than whatever's going on my stupid show. But
so I might know the context for this if you're interested.
Oh God. Well, I've already opened the door and we're past 3 hours. So what do you got?
According to Tim, she was apparently addressing you on X.
Oh, well, I don't care. What was she saying? Like, I guess I'm saying, I'm asking you to say, to
it wasn't
describe,
good.
But when I say I don't care,
yeah,
I'm saying that she's blocked and she's not a part of my interaction. So I wouldn't even see it.
I'm sure she knows that, which provides her some liberty in what she says. Because she knows.
So do we know the content of what was said?
So he used a fine Australian word. He said Blonde was slagging off Matt in X. If he's
what the hell does that mean?
It doesn't sound good. Apparently, she was criticizing your latest video.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's all right. Great. Go make your own videos, and good luck.
It might be her taking a victory lap for, like, now your show is struggling, and apparently she's doing okay.
Yeah, well, there was an offer on the table to participate in the show, and instead, someone ran to the public and quit the show with a spectacle. So, anyway, good luck. All the best. Ginger Ninja. The politicians are to blame for this. They're encouraging it, and no, it is guaranteed to happen. Number 2, the first gunshot may have been justified. The other two are obviously after the officers are no. Then it ends there. It's like it was cut off. No, okay, let me try again. The politicians are to blame for this. They're encouraging it, and they know it's guaranteed to happen. That being the shooting or the violence with ICE. Yeah. Number 2, the first gunshot may have been justified. The other two are obviously... Oh, the first gunshot may have been justified. The other two are obviously after the officers are... sorry, Ginger Ninja. I got cut off, so I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. Maybe he's making a distinction on whether some of the gunshots were justified, the others not. I can't tell if that's where he's going.
That's not how they're trained to deal with threat assessment. You're trained to continue to fire until the threat is no longer a threat.
Oh, there's a second one here. That's why it looked like it got cut off. I didn't see it was also from him. The first gunshot may have been justified. The other two are obviously after the officers are no longer in danger. Whether you like it or not, this cop is going to get railroaded because of the climate. These cops can't be skirting lines. So he's saying, I don't even know if he's saying from his own moral perspective that he was at fault, but I think he's trying to say under the law, they might be able to go after him for subsequent shots. And maybe that's right. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in Minnesota.
I doubt it. I don't know what the specific Minnesota legal precedent is, but in the country, there is plenty of legal precedent establishing a moving vehicle, especially in the context of a law enforcement officer doing their job. There's just plenty of cases that would suggest that this officer is probably fine.
We will find out. It'll be interesting to see if they try to shove in him. I'll be watching that.
Very difficult.
2. Hey, Matt, been listening to the Sunday show since at least 2020 when you mentioned getting the Kung Flu from SHOT Show. Here's to many more episodes in the future. Well, I wish I got COVID at SHOT Show. That wasn't me, though, because I didn't go to SHOT Show. I've never been there. So you might be confusing me, but I appreciate your support for the show.
I am not going to be niggardly.
Thank you for that. And certainly I don't doubt that you've been listening for that long. I'm sure that's probably true. It's just who went to SHOT Show and got COVID that is kind of like me. I wonder who that is. I don't know. Thank you, Pokelda. Zaburo. Was the Maduro a distraction from the Maduro operation? Was that a distraction from the Epstein situation? No, I don't think deliberately, and I'm dissatisfied with the Epstein handling, but do I think they sat down and thought, well, we've been sitting on this military operation for a while. Let's just do that to take heat off the Epstein thing. I don't think that. Do you?
No.
Okay.
I think everything's going to be called a distraction from the Epstein files because I don't think the mob is going to ever get what they want from the Epstein files. So, and if you're waiting around for some big revelation to happen that's going to trigger a series of actions against people, prepare to continue to be disappointed and refer to everything in the meantime as a distraction because it's not happening. So,
Laughing Boy, it wasn't about the sauce, it was about the harassment she got over it. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Like our conversation about the caramel.
Yeah.
I think that she probably was she didn't deliver the caramel to their liking, whether she was short on caramel or not, and that's where the conflict suddenly became about hijabs and sexualization and all that stuff. I guess I wonder, was there a quantity of caramel that would have been to their satisfaction? I wonder how much of it was truly about caramel. I don't know. Maybe it was as simple as that. But Pokelda also says, I thought it was SHOT Show. Must have been some other convention you went to, but I know it was you because of the Kung Flu joke. I mean, I think I got COVID when I had to go to San Francisco about that time. That was like February 2020, like before it went crazy in March. And we got sick, and I think it maybe was related to, like, if that was COVID, I guess, like, we were right near Chinatown even in San Francisco, so it's plausible. But that was the only place I traveled. Like, I didn't go to any convention or anything like that. But at that time, I did go to San Francisco for a family event. Ginger Ninja, Matt from Demo Ranch got COVID at SHOT Show. Maybe that's who you're remembering. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wrong Matt.
Maybe I could be Matt from Demolition Ranch. I don't know. Okay. Either way, I appreciate your support for the show. Thank you very much. And it's very kind of you, very generous of you to keep the operation running. But I think we're all set, my friend. That is all the chats. Let me give a quick refresh over on YouTube and Tippy. We'll call it a night. 3 hours, 10 minutes. Right. Didn't necessarily draw it up to be that long, but oh, you know what? There is one more. It's being reported that the woman killed in Minnesota did study English at Old Dominion University, so we know she understands the instructions she was given. Okay, well, just because you study English doesn't mean a lot these days, but I will presume you're probably correct on that. All right, thank you for the marathon tour, Skulldugger. Anything else you want to say?
Tim just wanted to clarify that slagging off it just means bad mouthing.
Oh, yeah, I would. It sounds gross. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, thank you for the clarification, Tim. All right, we're gonna.
He says there's one more super chat.
I think I got it. I think that's the one I just took.
Okay.
But if I missed anybody's, of course, send me an email. I'll be happy to give you a refund on that missed chat. But thank you for tuning in tonight. Thanks to our live chatters, super chatters, making the live show a success. If you're listening on demand, thank you kindly as well. Appreciate your support for the show when you're listening later too. Thanks to our live callers, our voicemailers, our emailers. Thanks to Frank for joining tonight, quitefrankly.tv. Thanks to Skulldugger for sitting in. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance as always. MattChristiansenmedia.com. I'll be back on Sunday night.